Chapter 994. Returning to his room, Zhang Shogui stared at the two model boats on the sand table for a while before giving the order. Give the order. The 5,000 men of the 3 regiments of the 1st Vanguard Brigade are to be sent ashore in small boats. Equip them with horses and send them along the coastal land route, moving side by side with the fleet. The 2nd Vanguard Brigade is to send small boats forward quickly. Throw hooks and pull out all the fishing nets in the water. Send the hot air balloons into the air and fly as fast as possible toward Shicheng on the southern shore of Hangzhou Bay. Enter Tang along the coast and monitor the situation in the surrounding 100 square kilometers. Wang Wan and Zhang Xiaobao also returned to the room. As for why Zhang Xiaobao was able to stay with Wang Wan, it was because Zhang Xiaobao had arranged the logistics in advance. He had put the command center together with Wang Wan's command center. In any case, the speed of information transmission was already very slow. Even if he split up, he wouldn't be of much use. It was better to stay in the same room with Wang Wan and discuss things on the spot. Weather, Wang Wan asked the messenger. Light rain, the messenger replied. This was the result of the dice in the center of the sand table. The season was autumn, and it had just entered autumn. The weather conditions were changed every day. Other than volcanic eruptions and hurricanes blowing up the mountains, all sorts of weather conditions could occur. After a period of time, heavy snow was even allowed. Although it was said that the Jiangnan circuit rarely experienced snow, and even if it did, it was not a heavy snowfall. However, previous records showed that the Jiangnan circuit had indeed experienced heavy snowfalls. Of course, it was impossible for the entire Jiangnan circuit to be completely sunny on the first day and completely covered in snow on the second. That was absolutely impossible. Clouds had not yet flown in or formed. Hearing the messenger's answer, Wang Wan nodded and said, "It's good that it's raining." In this season, when the Jiangnan society plays dice, will there be more options for rain in the corresponding grid when counting points? Of course. That is the actual situation. The Jiangnan circuit is most prone to rain in spring and autumn. I am in charge of logistics and have already made the corresponding preparations. Don't worry, there won't be any problems. As Zhang Xiaobao spoke, he pointed at Huanshuan County in Muzhou, Jiangnan East Road. I've arranged something here. I don't know if it can be used. Let's wait for more rain. Wang Wan glanced around and did not ask Zhang Xiaobao for the details of the layout. Otherwise, it would be easy to be influenced, and the layout would revolve around that place. He ordered the messenger, "My order, the main force in Hangzhou is to retreat. Call Commander Wang Yi of the Sniper Battalion of the 2 ND Division's 1st Brigade over." The smallest military unit in this sand table could be implemented as a platoon. If there was a need, such as arranging for a very powerful person to carry out a special assassination tactic, then he could even let him appear as a platoon leader. In reality, they couldn't have too many detailed commanders. Otherwise, the main force of both sides would be 200,000. They couldn't arrange for one commander for each group of 10. That would require 20,000 people to carry out this military expedition. The current scale was not small. In total, there were more than 3,000 people. This was the largest sand table military exercise since ancient times to the Tang Empire. Battalion Commander Wang Yi had his own position. He ran over from the small house. Because his position in the military exercise was in the middle army and he was with Wang Wan, he was allowed to enter Wang Wan's house. But according to his position on the sand table, it would take him an hour to come over. According to the ratio of 1/4, he would have to wait for 15 minutes before he was allowed to see Wang Wan. After 15 minutes, the messenger guarding the door allowed him to enter. Commander Wang Yi of the Sniper Battalion of the 1st Brigade of the 2nd Division reporting. As soon as Wang Yi entered the door, he stood up straight and reported to Wang Wan. "Commander Wang, our middle army will retreat immediately. Your battalion will be responsible for delaying the enemy's advance. This is the detailed plan of deployment. You can act freely to delay the enemy at any cost. Wang Wan picked up a written battle plan and saluted to Wang Yi. Then she handed the plan to him with both hands. Wang Yi took the plans solemnly and saluted back. He said solemnly, "I promise to complete the mission at any cost. The sniper battalion will be reserved for reinforcements. We will pass on the military spirit," Wang Wan said. Zhang Xiaobao also stood up and saluted. Wang Yi turned around and strode out. The messenger knew that this was just a battle on the sand table, but he still respectfully sent Wang Yi out. Because he knew that even if it was a real battlefield, Wang Wan would still make the same decision. And Wang Yi's sniper battalion would fight to the last person to delay the enemy's advance. Leave the sniper battalion. The middle army will retreat at full speed. Wang Wan gave another order. When the people beside the sand table in the middle received this order, they immediately started to move the small model of the middle army represented by Wang Wan to the back. Wei Wei moved a little, then stopped and moved a little more. At the same time, they took out many smaller models to represent the sniper battalion that had left the group. The small flags had the word Wang written on them. In the middle army, Yang Xishuan was also giving orders. Order the whole army to press forward. Before we reach Hangzhou Bay, send out a brigade of 5,000 people to Wanhai town. After the messenger gave the order, he smiled and said to the other generals in the middle of the room, "I think Wang Wan will deploy a lot of troops in Wanhai town. We'll use the lives of 5,000 people to hold back their ambusher while the vanguard goes around them. Let's see how they can escape then." The other generals laughed. One of them said, "General, you are indeed amazing. No matter how good Wang Wan is at scheming, even if there are 30,000 people here, we may not lose with 5,000 people. In terms of the rules of the game, we have an absolute advantage with our weapons." Li Longji and the others, who were beside the sand table in the middle, heard the different conversations in the two rooms. They sighed and said, "Cuckoo won." Chi Da agreed. "I think so too." Cuckoo and Xiao Bao didn't treat this sand table simulation as a game. Their generals also treat themselves as real members of the battlefield. The generals we are facing are still laughing and treating human lives as numbers. They don't care if 5,000 people will be ambushed by the middle army. Wang Yi's battalion only has 700 people. Cuckoo promised to leave a number. I believe that in a real battlefield, the sniper battalion will fight to the last person. The referees immediately gave Wang Yi's sniper battalion bonus points in the evaluation of morale. In other words, if they had the same number of people, the sniper battalion would win in hand-to-hand combat. The generals didn't know that Wang Wan and Zhang Xiaobao were playing with them seriously, so the people below them were also very relaxed. They looked at the sand table and map in front of them and felt that it was very interesting. I believe that when they are moving forward, they will be vigilant of every mountain and will send a large number of special forces to scout ahead. So I want to leave people behind to harass every mountain that they may pass through, so that they can't judge the situation clearly. This is the tragedy of backward technology. We can only use the lives of countless heroes to make up for it. Everything is for victory, everything is for the sake of not losing the country. After giving the order, Wang Wan had nothing else to do for the time being. She took a magnifying glass and looked at the terrain on the map while talking to Zhang Xiaobao. Zhang Xiaobao was also observing the terrain with a magnifying glass. He said, "We can choose Jiangnan province. If we choose the northern part of Hebei province, we can fortify the defense and clear the wilderness all the way. We can drag it out from autumn to winter, and their expedition will be over. Now there are trees and rivers. Even if we can't transport food, we can hunt and dig wild vegetables. The horses can also eat grass. Then we have to cut off their logistics. The rule is that they will arrive here in a month by sea. Every time we cut off their logistics, they will have to live without logistics for at least a month. The wild animals are not enough for 100,000 people to eat. If they eat wild vegetables, their physical strength will be greatly reduced." Wang Wan walked along the map. When she stopped, she had already put the magnifying glass at the location of Dongting Lake. She said, when they arrive here, our army is 20,000 less than theirs. It will be their win. Or they can beat our army to 3,000 people. I want to see how far they can go without supplies. You keep an eye on the logistics. Don't let them steal the food. Don't worry. They can't get it. Even if they get it, they won't dare to eat it. Zhang Xiaobao said confidently. When the chief commander seemed to be a little idle, the people in the various battalions seemed to be busy. They were the lowest commanders and needed to make decisions at every step. Orders were sent out and small models moved on the sand table. Although the two sides had not made any actual contact, they were very careful, especially Wang Wan's people. They used cold weapons because they were afraid of being discovered by the enemy at a long distance. Then they would be attacked by guns and cannons. So the sand table showed that one side was advancing slowly while the other side was retreating cautiously. One side suspected that there might be an ambush at every place but did not appear. The other side wanted to set traps everywhere but gave up hesitantly. We can't fight today. Let's sleep for a while. Zhang Xiaobao could guess the current situation without looking at the sand table. Wang Wan did not intend to fight for the beach when the enemy had just come ashore or not. The enemy had many places where they could come ashore and also had artillery support. Sniping at the beach would not be a big threat to the enemy and would instead cause more losses to their own side. In this way, they could not fight at all today. With 4-1 time, waiting for a day would only count as 4 days. So he looked at the map again and found that there were no other dangers. He nodded and said, then let's sleep. Sleep here. Get someone to quietly bring in some blankets. When the sun was about to rise, Wang Wan and Zhang Xiaobao lay down and fell asleep, telling others that they would not be eating breakfast. Li Longji yawned and stretched. I am also sleepy. Let's go back to the palace. Ancestor Cheetah, you go back to your room. Lisher, prepare the carriage. Gao Lisher arranged for a carriage and suggested to Li Longji, for example, go to Savant's restaurant to have some porridge before returning. Fine. Li Longji nodded in agreement. The members of the adjudicators did not sleep well last night and were also called out from their beds. When the sun was about to rise, they had breakfast and passed the content of last night's recording to the people who came to take over the shift. They then went to the hibiscus garden to sleep. At this time, the generals were having a hard time. They did not rest well last night. Now, other than the few shots fired by the vanguard, there was no other sound of gunfire. In other words, they could not find the enemy. So they were always on tenterhooks, guessing where Wang Wan put the soldiers, making people feel that there was a hidden poisonous snake waiting for the right time. They hurriedly freshened up and looked at the map while eating breakfast. When they saw that there was no movement for a long time, they could not bear the sleepiness and fell asleep one after another. They even told the messenger to wake them up if something happened. The generals at the various positions below, Wang Wan's side, knew what was going on. They slept peacefully, but the battalion commanders and captains on the other side were worried that their troops would be surrounded, so they did not sleep peacefully either. Just like that, a day passed. Li Longji slept during the day and came to the hibiscus garden full of energy. He walked around and looked. The generals had already woken up in the afternoon and were still sleepy now. They all had dark circles under their eyes and were still guessing where Wang Wan's men were. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had just woken up not long ago. They asked someone to bring them a temporary portable bathroom. After bathing, they were eating. Li Longji looked at the generals on both sides and began to feel sad for them. If they did not adjust, they would lose people before the martial arts competition ended. He then said to Wang Wan and Zhang Xiaobao, Cuckoo, Xiaobao, do you want to find an opportunity to fight a few rounds? If you keep retreating and don't accept the challenge, the generals will not be able to hold themselves back. Being impatient is a taboo for generals. If they can't even handle this, how can they be generals? Wang Wan said as she took a bite of the fried egg. They won't go so far as to deal with others, but their current opponent is you. They keep thinking that you will suddenly scheme against them. Li Longji defended the generals. They are scheming from the start. How can a war be fought face to face? I feel that they don't seem to care. We have to think of a way to stimulate them and make them put in more effort. Zhang Xiaobao put down his chopsticks and made sarcastic remarks. Li Longji admitted, they really don't take the sand table for real. They just want to win against you. They don't care how many people die, they only care about defeating you. Logically speaking, you are not wrong. But I think that if they encounter a place that they need to conquer, they will lose a lot of Great Tang's soldiers in order to win. How will the Great Tang's people live? I don't want to hear every family cry after a battle. You have to think of a way to get them to put in more effort. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan heard something else from these words. So that's how it is. Their condition really isn't good. That's good. Zhang Xiaobao pretended to be serious and thought hard. He even stopped eating. After a while, he opened his mouth and said, there is a way. I will ask the Ministry of Works to speed up the production of something related to the military. When the time comes, this kind of thing will be distributed according to their performance. Those who do not perform well, those who have many dead generals will not get it. Good idea. We will tell them right now. Li Longji clapped his hands and was about to tell the generals. Zhang Xiaobao hurriedly dissuaded him, Your Majesty, there is no need to be anxious. Wait for the thing to be produced in a few days. Seeing is believing. That's reasonable. Then let's wait a little longer. You all eat, I will go elsewhere to take a look. Li Longji excitedly left. Zhang Xiaobao watched as Li Longji left. He smiled and said, they will be exhausted in a few days. I think so too. Wang Wan agreed. Chapter 995. 3 days passed quickly and slowly. For many people, 3 days passed in the blink of an eye, but for the generals, these 3 days were even longer than the 12 days of the 1-to-4 ratio on the sand table. In these 3 days, not even the shadow of the enemy could be found. Zhang Shougui's vanguard would reach Enchanting in another day and a half. The brigade that followed on the shore even took food and soybeans from the ships to resupply. Staring at the sand table in front of him, Zhang Shougui muttered to himself, where are they? Have they given up on defense? Have the entire army retreat? If I really dock at Enchanting and set down the cannons, you won't have a chance. The messenger beside him pursed his lips, not saying a word. He knew what was going on. Men, pass down my order. Expand the search area of the hot air balloons. You must find them. There's definitely something wrong at Enchanting. Check the wind direction. Zhang Shougui passed down the order and rubbed his temples tiredly. His eyes were still staring at the sand table. He didn't believe that Wang Wan wouldn't do anything. The wind direction had already been checked. There was no wind, but it was an inconceivable wind direction. Usually, there would be a south or southeast wind at this time. It seems like the glider wing unit can't be deployed. The hot air balloons will fly on their own. Pay attention to the eagles in the sky. It's really inconvenient without eagles. The eyes of eagles can see further than a telescope. At the center of the sand table, Li Longji came again. He didn't come yesterday because he knew that the battle wouldn't happen yesterday and that the battle would happen today. So many people came. Empress Wang, Wu Huifei, Zhu Zan, and Princess Jincheng were all here to watch the show. In this battle, more than 700 people from Cuckoo's battalion will be wiped out. These 700 people are the Death Army. If they stay, they won't be able to survive. It's just that we don't know how long they can delay the enemy. The wind direction is still, which isn't good for the sniper battalion. They need to change their plans at the last minute. Li Longji was the commentator, explaining to the crowd. To be precise, he was explaining to Princess Jincheng and Wu Huifei. Zhu Zan could see that, so could Gao Lishur. As for Empress Wang, she was born in a family of generals. She loved to fight and had long understood the situation. She looked at the arrangement on the sand table and asked, "Your Majesty, who is the battalion commander of the royal banner?" Li Longji really didn't know. Gao Lisha replied, "Empress, the person from the Wang banner is called Wang Yi. He's the second batch of battle commanders that Xiao Bao and Cuckoo trained. The first batch was Hu Zi and the others, while the second batch has been training for more than 10 years. 10 years old? How could Cuckoo bear to do that? Those under the death banner are the warriors of my great Tang. Why can't we think of some other tactic?" Empress Wang's eyes turned red. For a moment, she forgot that this was a sand table exercise and thought that it was a real battlefield. If it were anyone else, Cuckoo wouldn't be able to rest assured. She was even willing to give up on herself. Her heart was as firm as steel. People always die in war. At the very least, they died in their homeland. Princess Jinsheng lamented at the side. She couldn't help but think of how she obtained her current position. Back then in Lhasa City, she clearly felt that she was being ostracized by others. After that, Cuckoo led the troops and fought for thousands of miles. The more ruthless she fought, the more attention she received. Empress Wang also remembered what happened back then. Yes. The desert is vast and it's hard to judge the age. How many good men of Great Tang have been buried in Tubo? This damned Qi. Ancestor Qi Dazan, I didn't scold you. I was just saying. It's all in the past. Let's not talk about it. When Empress Wang was scolding, she realized that Ancestor Qi Dazan was still at the side. She hurriedly covered it up. Ancestor Qi Dazan was very depressed. You people died, but more people died in Tubo. My country is gone. Who can I find to reason with? While thinking in his heart, he said, "Yes, it's all in the past. I hope that Wang Yi can hold on for a while longer. Even if he dies, he should die in a meaningful way." When they were looking at the sand table and talking, Wang Yi was very distressed. He was already prepared to light the fire. The 700 people had already spread out. The furthest was 100 miles away. With the first firework as the signal, they would burn the mountain together. The 700 people spread out, making it easy for them to hide. If there was a south wind or a southeast wind, they would keep hiding and let the enemy's main force pass by. Then, they would light the fire behind them. This way, because the enemy had cannons, they would be afraid of being burned. There would be chaos. The fire would be driven by the wind and chase after the enemy. Presumably, they would hold a grudge and turn back to chase after them. They could run and attract the enemy's attention until they died in battle. However, there was no wind now. How could there be no wind in Hangzhou in autumn? Who threw the dice? Their luck was too bad. Wang Yi looked at the sand table and scolded the person who threw the dice. He frowned and tried hard to think of a solution. At this time, a messenger came with a few small models of hot air balloons in his hands. He placed them on the sand table in front of Wang Yi. "Oh. The enemy's hot air balloon team is here. There are quite a lot of them, at least 200 of them. They are so free that they can get a bunch of hot air balloons. Won't they take up space on the ship?" Seeing the small models, Wang Yi knew what it meant. The enemy had sent out an aerial reconnaissance strike force. He was very envious. He didn't know where the eagles on his side were. Otherwise, if they rushed over, they would break all the hot air balloons and let them fly. Just as he was feeling vexed, Wang Yi had a flash of inspiration. His eyes lit up, and he ordered the messenger, "Pass my order. Form a triangle. Light 3 columns of fireworks first. 5 minutes later, light 2 columns of fireworks 100 meters away from the 3 columns of fireworks. Another 5 minutes later, light 1 column of fireworks 50 meters away from the 2 columns of fireworks. Act according to the fireworks signal." The messenger left hurriedly and went to the big sand table to report. Then, many messengers went to the relevant rooms and marked the sand table of the general. Wang Yi's side was divided into 14 teams of 50 people. Because it was a special situation, the 14 people were divided into 14 temporary tents. The team leader closest to Wang Yi saw that 3 models representing fireworks had been inserted into the sand table, which was not very exquisite, and immediately gave the order, light 3 groups of fireworks, form a triangle. After 2 more columns of fireworks appeared, he gave the same order. Then, he said, order, burn the mountain. Quickly, retreat after lighting the fire. Quickly, gather at the predetermined target. The team closest to him also gave the same order and passed it down one after another. The leader of the hot air balloon team of Zhang Shogui's vanguard was stunned when he saw the models of fireworks on his sand table. Then, he suddenly reacted. Telegram, enemy tracks have been discovered. There are 3 columns of man-made fireworks. After a while, he said, 2 more columns of fireworks have been discovered. 5 minutes later, he said, telegram, 14 columns of fireworks have been discovered. The enemy is using fireworks to convey orders. 3, 2. 5 minutes later, he said, 14 columns, the numbers haven't changed. The order of fireworks is 3, 2, 1. The interval is 5 minutes. Then, the messenger took out a bunch of small smoke-like objects and scattered them on the sand table. The leader was puzzled. Why were there so many ignition points? Could it be that the enemy's main force was here? With so little, wouldn't they be burning themselves? After another 5 minutes, the messenger brought over a large model of fireworks and covered a large area. The leader's hot air balloon was picked up and placed on top of the fireworks. When he saw this, he said, telegram, the entire Hangzhou area, estimated to be 100 li, has been lit. The enemy is probably using small groups to delay our attack. Telegram, I said, telegram, why are you still standing there? After the leader gave the last order, he saw that the messenger was still standing there, so he anxiously asked, telegram, I said, telegram, why are you still standing there? The messenger didn't show any dissatisfaction. He replied, your hot air balloon team flew between 130 meters and 150 meters. The flames below are burning. Because the enemy was prepared, the flames grew very quickly. Just now, you didn't give the order to evade or take off immediately. Thus, the referee team determined that you all fainted from the smoke. If the wind didn't change direction and the hot air balloons flew out of this area without outside help, you all would have died in battle. The leader understood. He rubbed his face with both hands and asked in disbelief, we died just like that? The wind direction is not wind, but outside help? All the hot air balloons in the vanguard were sent out, where else could there be outside help? Let me ask, why did we faint from the smoke? Isn't this too fake? I predicted that you would definitely withdraw. Let me explain. They have been preparing for more than 10 days. There are many flammable and smoky things, as well as various kinds of feces, pepper powder, oil, and so on. Thus, we collapsed from the smoke. If you don't believe me, you can try. If you don't faint, we will make a new judgment. The messenger slightly violated the rules and told the leader in advance. Because he hadn't been judged dead yet, he didn't count as withdrawing. When the leader heard what the messenger said, he thought about more than 10 days of preparation and admitted, there's no need to try. We fell, definitely fell. If there was really such a big fire, not to mention the pungent smell, even if there was only fire, the sky would be gone. It was only 100 meters high, and there was no wind. Once the heat came out, we would have collapsed from lack of oxygen. I'm sorry, General, I didn't send back the crucial information. The messenger smiled and became amiable. General, your official position is above the 7th rank. You can go to the center of the sand table and watch. His Majesty is also there. Okay, I'll go take a look. Even if I die, I want to know how the other party arranged it. The leader stood up gloomily and was led to the center of the sand table by the messenger. Li Longji saw him coming and laughed, come, Minister Chen, come to Zhen. Legends see how you've been smothered by the smoke. This official greets His Majesty, the Empress, Imperial Concubine Hui, Her Royal Highness, General Gao, Ancestor Qi Da. This official is indeed muddled by the smoke. This official wants to know where Military Commander Wang stayed and commanded this sneak attack. Isn't she afraid of burning herself? The military general surnamed Shen first greeted everyone and looked at the sand table. At the same time, he asked where Wang Wan was. When he saw the flag, he was very surprised. Are you puzzled, Minister Chen? As you can see, it wasn't Cuckoo who specifically commanded the battle, Li Longji said. Then which general is this? How did he know there was no wind? Or was it improvisation? The military general surnamed Shen had just finished asking when he suddenly realized that Wang Wan and Zhang Xiaobao didn't have any generals under their command. The only general they had was Shui Yun. When he thought of this, he was suddenly shocked. Gao Lishur said proudly, Minister Chen's guess is correct. The one who commanded this sneak attack is also someone who adapts to the situation. He's a member of the inner courtyard of the Wang family. His surname is Wang, and his name is Yi. He's an ordinary member of the 300 people in the second wave who learned to command from Cuckoo. He has no official position, and no rank. Gao Lishur had reason to be proud. Xiao Bao was his adopted son. There wasn't much difference between him and his own son. When he was 100 years old, all of the family's wealth would belong to Xiao Bao. The servants in the family, as well as that wife of his, would have to listen to Xiao Bao's orders. The fact that Xiao Bao and Cuckoo's families were powerful was also due to him, the father. Don't look at how Zhang Xiaobao and Wang family had only risen to power for a short period of time. What they displayed was definitely the foundation of an aristocratic family. When the military general surnamed Chen heard this, he lowered his head and said, This official blushes with shame. This official is unworthy of his current position. This official requests to resign. When Li Longji saw that his official had been dealt a blow and even wanted to resign, he waved his hand and said, That's not a good idea. The Zhang Xiaobao and Wang family aren't only powerful in their commanding personnel. There's also the administrative personnel. Don't tell me that with them around, all of the civil and military officials in the court will compare themselves and then most of them will go home? What should we do? Let their family's inner courtyard take over the position. In the future, most of the court officials will be from their family. From then on, there won't be any need for morning court. We can just hold family meetings in their house. Minister Chen, what do you think? No, Your Majesty, you absolutely can't. Otherwise, the country will no longer be a country. The military general surnamed Chen jumped in fright and shook his head repeatedly. That's right, that won't do. The inner courtyard official named Wang Yi has studied for more than 10 years. All of you have only studied for a short period of time. In the future, you have to study hard. Cuckoo has given her all in teaching all of you. She didn't hold anything back, just like how Xiao Bao teaches economics to others. Cuckoo and Xiao Bao, as well as their family's inner courtyard, I won't use them unless it's a big battle. They are the edge of my scabbard. If I really need them to take action, I only need one result, and that is victory. If all of you do your jobs well, I won't need them. They just want to relax. It's because some people are incompetent that Xiao Bei and the others have to run around. Work hard. Li Longji suddenly thought of Xiao Bei and the others who weren't in the capital. For the past few days, he felt that it was cold and cheerless. It wasn't as lively as when Xiao Bei was chattering by his side. When the military general surnamed Chen heard this, he solemnly said, This subject will definitely do his best to learn and not disappoint Your Majesty's expectations. Good, let's look at the sand table. In this sneak attack, all of you lost. Each hot air balloon had a lookout, an operator to control the fire, a helmsman responsible for controlling the direction, and 2 attackers ready to drop the ammunition at any time. There were 100 hot air balloons in the vanguard, but all of a sudden, 500 people died. Li Longji pointed at the sand table as he spoke. Everyone once more looked at the sand table. The one who was staring at the sand table the most closely was Zhang Shougui. He was currently staring at the sand table, and from his perspective, the hot air balloons on the sand table were still there. This was because he didn't know what had gone wrong, unless he himself determined that the hot air balloon brigade had been completely wiped out, or if some other intelligence agent told him. Otherwise, the model of the hot air balloons on the sand table would continue to exist. But the other side didn't answer the message he sent, much less reply. This left him perplexed. An hour ago, he had been continuously receiving intelligence reports. Just what had happened in this short period of time? Could it be that the enemy flew into the sky and simultaneously controlled or killed all 100 people in the hot air balloons? Otherwise, that shouldn't be the case. Zhang Shougui held a cigar in his mouth and took a drag. As he thought about this, he felt very vexed. Over the past 2 days, he had been extremely fatigued. He had drunk a lot of tea leaves and even asked for the coffee that Wang Wan had worked so hard to obtain. In the end, he had smoked a cigar to refresh himself. But the situation on the battlefield had not improved in the slightest. First, they couldn't find the enemy. Then, when they received the news and thought that they had found the enemy, the news was suddenly cut off. Could it be that Wang Wan's main force is lying in ambush around Hangzhou? Then they're hiding really well. The referees determined that so many people wouldn't be discovered by our side unless they dug into the ground and then suddenly appeared. Then, they mobilized 1,000 eagles and destroyed the hot air balloons at practically the same time, not giving anyone a chance to send a message. Does she have that many eagles? It's definitely impossible. How could the people on our side betray us at the same time? That's also not right. The rules have already been set. The people on both sides would rather die than surrender. Zhang Shougui took a drag of his cigar as he muttered to himself. Lord Zhang, do you think that a cloud suddenly floated down from the sky, and with a crack, it destroyed all 100 of our hot air balloons? Wang Zhongxi reminded from the side. As an advisor, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan knew that he was extremely formidable in history. But he was still young, and when he went to Jilin province, he had lost in the sand table simulation on the ship. Everyone felt that it was a pity that he wasn't allowed to participate, so they had him follow Zhang Shougui and learn from him. I think that your head was struck by lightning. There's no wind, so where did the cloud come from? Zhang Shougui glared at Wang Zhongxi. Wang Zhongxi muttered, I think so too. Recently, I've been waking up from my sleep. Fighting with Wang Wan is too stressful. I finally understand what Zhu Zanchide was feeling back then. Look at how scared you are. You don't have the guts. What are you afraid of? Does she have 3 heads and 6 arms? Go ask the intelligence team on the ship if there's any new information, Zhang Shougui said in dissatisfaction. Oh, Wang Zhongxi replied. Just as he was about to leave, a messenger came in. Reporting, the Vanguard military intelligence team has sent a report. Our special ground forces have been obstructed and have lost contact with the aerial reconnaissance team. In addition, forest fires have been set on the north, south, east, and south sides of Hangzhou. The flames are so intense that they are unable to determine the extent of the fires. Wang Zhongxi slapped his thigh. Fuck, I know. They actually burned down the forest and the mountains. No wonder we lost contact with our hot air balloon team. The referees must have determined that they were burned down. Zhang Shougui glared at Wang Zhongxi again. You don't need to say it. Everyone understands. In 1 day, our army will land. What do you think we should do? Zhang Shougui shrunk his head and watched as the messenger took away the model representing the hot air balloons under Zhang Shougui's signal. He also placed the model representing the forest fires in several places that Zhang Shougui had suspected on the sand table. Arching an eyebrow, Zhang Shougui said, I feel like Wang Wan doesn't want us to advance. We can beat them at their own game. We can circle around them and quickly advance, catching them off guard. After saying this, Wang Zhongxi suddenly shook his head. That's not right. Wang Wan and Zhang Xiaobao definitely haven't thought of this. They'll definitely think of a way to launch a sneak attack while we're dividing our forces. Then we can concentrate our forces and circle around them, but what if their main force happens to be hiding in the other direction? Zhang Shougui interrupted Wang Zhongxi and closed his eyes in thought. Stop talking. Based on what you're saying, we don't need to do anything. All we need to do is wait. Wang Zhongxi resentfully circled the sand table. As he circled, he sighed. What a pity. There must have been plenty of 100-year-old wood in the forest. Why didn't they think about such a loss? Think about what? Zhang Shougui opened his eyes. If there really was a war and they didn't burn it, then it had nothing to do with them. 100 years? 10,000-year-old trees no longer belong to them, and the people of a fallen country don't even have any dignity left. Zhang Shougui felt like he had a few ideas. Then could it be that Cuckoo chose to temporarily give up space to buy time? Lord Zhang, what can they do by buying time? They can't develop the industry and build cannons, right? Our great Tang's cannons truly were developed by those two clans, but that was because they said they wouldn't let the industry take a detour. It was the work of those two. Right now, we're fighting natives. Even if I gave them 50 years, they still wouldn't be able to build cannons. The panel of referees wouldn't agree. When Wang Zhongxi mentioned the experts of the Zhang clan and Wang clan, he became extremely cautious. Those two people had shadows in the hearts of many people, but no one was willing to directly mention them. Respect and fear coexisted. Zhang Shougui was vexed by Wang Zhongxi's analysis. Let's not think about it anymore. If we keep thinking about what they're doing, will we still fight or not? Let's move ourselves and let them think. I don't believe that they can guess what I'm thinking. Send a report to the Middle Corps. The vanguard has been obstructed at Hangzhou. After landing tomorrow, prepare to circle around from the south. Send a brigade to the shore and circle around from the north. Have the Middle Corps act accordingly. Zhang Shougui issued another order. In Wang Wan's room, she and Zhang Xiaobao had just taken a short nap. The two of them knew that with the arrival of the enemy vanguard, they would begin to get busy. They needed to conserve their energy in order to deal with an even more intense battle. Using a hot towel to wipe his face, Zhang Xiaobao brought over the booklets with the names of the important generals. As he read, he recalled, and he analyzed, his mouth never idle. Dear Madam, normally speaking, we should use a plan. We should send someone to write a letter to the great Tang to ask for peace, or offer up a lot of things so that the enemy vanguard can come to a designated location to pick them up. We can play a game of sowing discord. What do you think? Don't be so corny. There's an outsider here. Wang Wan rolled her eyes at Zhang Xiaobao. In the room, whether it was the soldiers of the Middle Corps or the messengers in charge of communicating with the central sand table, all of them earnestly busied themselves with their own tasks. The messenger closest to the two of them stubbornly stared at his shoes. They were a pair of tall cloth boots with 1,000 layers of soles. They were dark blue and had dark patterns on the surface, elegant and comfortable. They were from Lu and Xin Air's ready-made clothing store. They could be considered a benefit given to those related to the military examination, so he was looking at them very carefully. Look, no one heard me. Zhang Xiaobao blinked at Wang Wan, then he said to the messenger looking at the shoes, go and ask them if they're allowed to use the strategy of sowing discord I mentioned just now. Understood. The messenger's ears finally worked, so he turned and left. You, the soldiers on the front lines are putting their lives on the line, and you still have the mind to talk about other things, Wang Wan said unhappily. I also know that camp won't be able to return, but I also know that their sacrifice is not to make the people of their homeland cry, but to make them laugh. Damn invaders. Zhang Xiaobao angrily said. Then what is the real us? I think we're the invaders, but I believe that many people will sing our praises. Who knows who's suffering? Anyway, it's fine as long as the people of Great Tang don't feel pain. When wolves eat sheep, they don't think too much. Zhang Xiaobao's character as a so-called nationalist, who had been criticized, had not changed. Li Longji hadn't returned yet. He felt that the situation tonight would definitely be interesting, so he stayed to watch the show. After all, there wasn't much to do in the imperial court. If there really was something important, the officials could come to the hibiscus garden to hold an impromptu court session and suspend the military examination. Just as he was discussing how the situation would develop with a few people around him, a messenger came and told him what Zhang Xiaobao said. Before the judges could make a decision, Li Longji immediately refuted, "No, what strategy of sowing discord? It's not useful to our great Tang. If Cuckoo and Xiao Bao led the troops to fight, and others tried to sow discord between them, would I believe them? Would they need to go outside and start a rebellion? If the other generals were to go out, I could even let them bring their families along. Would they be able to rebel with the few men and guns they have? They're trying to force Cuckoo and Xiao Bao to bring Great Tang's most advanced weapons and not the cold weapons used in the military examination." The messenger nodded and turned to leave. However, Li Longji stopped him and said, "I'll take a look at them personally." Just like that, the group of people squeezed into Wang Wan's command center. Wang Wan had just issued 3 orders when she saw the group of people walking in. She was astonished. "Cuckoo, let me ask you. If you were outside and someone tried to sow discord, would have you go to a designated location to retrieve something? Would you go?" Li Longji asked as soon as he saw Wang Wan. "I wouldn't go. Do you think I'm a fool? When a general is outside, he won't obey the orders of the emperor," Wang Wan replied without hesitation. Li Longji turned to Zhang Xiaobao and asked, "Xiao Bao, what about you?" "Me? I'll go. I'll leisurely walk the entire way and publicize my past. My great Tang is proud, and they're afraid. That's why they're sending things over. Once they're close enough, I'll tell them to send the things over. Tell them to send the things over. If they don't send them over, they're not sincere. They'll set up the cannons and bombard them with all their might. If they send them over, who cares if they ask for extra money? You gave it to the great Tang Emperor, but did you give it to me? This general is proud." Zhang Xiaobao and Wei Wei raised their heads and replied. Other than Wang Wan, the others were rendered speechless. In this comparison, Wang Wan was better. Xiao Bao was truly too evil. "Good, with the 2 of you here, we can rest easy." Li Longji didn't feel that there was anything wrong with Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan's reactions, so he happily praised them. Zhang Xiaobao calmly accepted the praise. He looked at the sand table in front of him, then looked at Li Longji, and said, "Your Majesty, you should go to the sand table in the center. You'll be able to see the overall situation there." "There's no need. We came to chat with you all. We're idle anyway." "Xiao Bao, has Xiao Bei and the others sent any news over the past 2 days? Where are they? They ran out and played so much that they forgot about us." Li Longji waved his hand indifferently and began to ask about Xiao Bei and the others. Zhang Xiaobao felt depressed. "I'm in the middle of a war. You're asking about my younger siblings? You're idle, but I'm busy." Just as he was about to reject and send Li Longji away, he suddenly thought of an idea. He smiled and said to Wang Wan, "Madam, let's talk to His Majesty about Xiao Bei and the others." "Ah." Wang Wan was very surprised. She was still in the middle of commanding. Chat. That didn't seem right, right? When she saw Zhang Xiaobao's calm smile, she immediately understood. Xiao Bao definitely had a plan. "All right, let's see what Xiao Bao wants to do." She played along and said, "That's fine. I'm also tired. Today's already past. When night comes, even generals need to rest. I'll just treat it as sleeping on the battlefield." "That's right. Where are Xiao Bei and the others now?" Li Longji nodded. Wang Wan thought for a moment and replied, "They sent a message in the evening. They said that they've already arrived in Hongnong and are on their way to Old Willow Village." They saw the construction site of the amusement park in Hongnong. It should be operational before summer. They also asked us to help them think of a way to earn money. They said that if the imperial court can exempt them from paying taxes for 3 years, they're willing to take out half of the profits for the children of Great Tang every year. Wang Wan wasn't lying. Xiao Bei and the others had indeed sent this message. When Li Longji heard the news from Xiao Bei and the others, he was very happy. In his heart, Xiao Bei was like a princess, cute and sensible. When he imagined Xiao Bei and the others writing the telegram, a smile appeared on Li Longji's face. When he thought about the telegram again, he asked Zhang Xiaobao, do you think we should exempt Xiao Bei and the others from paying taxes? They seem to be able to earn a lot of money, right? When Li Longji mentioned this, the others remembered that Xiao Bei and the others were in Hongnong's amusement park. When Zhang Xiaobao went there, he had already thought about it. If he deliberately thought about it, how could they earn less money? Only Zhu Zan and Princess Jincheng didn't know about this matter. The two of them looked at each other and asked Princess Jincheng. Cuckoo, tell sister, Xiao Bei and the others still have business in Hongnong? Aya, that's great. In the future, they won't have to worry about money. What kind of projects are there in the amusement park? Wang Wan glanced at the sand table and instantly came back to her senses. Just as she was about to speak, Zhang Xiaobao answered, Sister Nunu, Xiao Bei and the others went to kill people. You have to ask His Majesty about this. Originally, Xiao Bei and the others were playing in Wanyan County when they were instructed by a telegram from Xingxing Palace to go to Hongnong that night. At that time, it was still raining, and there was a vast ocean in Hongnong. When the adults fell into the water, they disappeared. However, Xiao Bei and the others didn't hesitate to use the forced march plan. They traveled in the wind and rain in the starry night. Xiao Bei and the other 9 children fell into the water many times. Xiao Bao, can you not be so sad? Li Longji was amused by Zhang Xiaobao's words. Xiao Bei and the others went by themselves? Don't you know who you sent with them? Who were the only 2 fast shooters of Great Tang with? You keep saying that Xiao Bei fell into the water. Xiao Bei is an existence that can save people in the bone-chilling Yellow River. How could she be drowned? You're making me sound like a heinous villain. Nunu, listen to me. Li Longji was afraid of being slandered because he saw tears in Princess Jincheng's eyes. Xiao Bei and the others were the ones who wrote the invitation letter. There were many wrong words in the letter. Li Longji patiently explained. Princess Jincheng became happy again and praised, Xiao Bei and the others are better than other children. I knew this long ago. They should be exempted from taxes, even if they don't give half of the profits to the children of Great Tang. There's still the story of 1.3 million strings of cash. Zhang Xiaobao reminded again. Sure enough, Princess Jincheng looked at Li Longji curiously again, waiting for him to explain. Li Longji was most afraid of hearing about 1.3 million strings of cash. It was really not a lot. Regardless of whether it was the money that Xiao Bao worked in the Great Tang Bank or the money that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang family earned, 1.3 million strings of cash was just a small change. However, this money was taken out from the pocket money of Xiao Bei and the others. It was not comparable to Great Tang's annual income, but it was also the entire fortune of Xiao Bei and the others. In other words, it was all they had. Sighing, Li Longji told Princess Jincheng about the 1.3 million strings of cash again. At this time, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were not listening to the story. The two of them were gathered together, communicating with their lips and discussing strategy. The happiest people were none other than the generals. Li Longji couldn't hide his whereabouts, and since it didn't involve the military selection, they all received the news. It was said that His Majesty went to chat with Cuckoo and Xiao Bao. It was a good thing that they had been delayed. It would be best if they could chat for an entire night. Thus, Zhang Shogue, who loved to look for opportunities, excitedly issued an order. All troops, speed up and assemble in Hangzhou. Quickly, increase the power of the steam engines. He also sent a message to the Middle Army, telling them to use this opportunity to immediately send their troops to land and not let them float in the sea. When Yang Xixuan, who was in the Middle Army, heard the news, he felt that something was wrong. Intuition, it was purely intuition. This was because he had never thought that he would be able to defeat Wang Wan in the military selection, even if she used cold weapons. He was thinking that the losses on his side would be smaller and that they would not be captured alive by Wang Wan. As for defeating Wang Wan, what kind of joke was this? The hot weapons tactics that he and the others could use were all leftover from Wang Wan's experiments. Yes, although I haven't seen Wang Wan personally command artillery and air force, but I don't know why, I always have a special feeling, that is, Wang Wan is very familiar with the joint operations of the Army, Navy, and Air Force. Oh, even including electronic information warfare, a battle strategy that was just proposed by Wang Wan. Sometimes, even in his dreams, he would dream of Wang Wan and Zhang Xiaobao in the command center, using one order after another to have the three armies cooperate with great tacit understanding to attack and defend. If Wang Wan could really do it, then it could only be said that she had learned it well. Against this sort of person, in a situation where they were not proficient with the weapons in their hands, the chances of victory were too small. Yang Xixuan hesitated, but in the end, he still gave the order to quickly approach and disembark. He was afraid of delaying the military. In Wang Wan's command center, Princess Jincheng was already moved to tears by Li Longji's story of Xiaobei and the others. Chapter 996. Brother, Nu has decided. We will wait for Xiaobei and the others to come back and discuss with them about opening the candy house in Lesa City. We will find the best location in the city for them, and we will not charge them any taxes or housing fees. Princess Jincheng imagined that Xiaobei and his 9 children were helping the Tang Empire. They were even willing to take out all their savings for the local construction. What if they were in danger? What if they were cheated by others? That Shuichiro Watanabe almost cheated Xiaobei and the others. Therefore, she wanted Xiaobei and his 9 children to open a shop. In Tubo, she and Zhu Zan still had the final say. It was not a problem to make a place for them. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan did not care about what Princess Jincheng was thinking. They continued to study their strategy. Zhang Xiaobao used a small stick, which was a baton, to point at the sand table. He mouthed to Wang Wan, I think Wang Yi should have already taken action. I just don't know how they are doing. Will they be harassing them from behind or blocking them from the front? The information transmission method is really troublesome. Wang Wan was also not clear about the situation at Wang Yi's side. Her sand table did not indicate the location of the fire, so the referees judged that she was not clear about the situation there. Seeing Zhang Xiaobao say this, she replied, Don't worry. Wait for Shuyun. We will know the situation when Shueyun comes back. What is a hot air balloon? How far can they see with their telescopes? With Shueyun, I am not afraid of not having a high-altitude reconnaissance expert. Li Longji did not notice that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were still busy with their own matters. He was already very helpless after hearing Princess Jincheng's words. He also understood that as a woman, she was very caring for her children. However, the actual situation was not like that. He explained, Nu, Xiaobei and the others will not have any accidents. You don't know the configuration of the people around them. If I had a choice, when I go out, I would rather change my defense team with Xiaobei's. She does not need to worry that they will be cheated. She has a special think tank in her team. It's just that they usually do not speak. If they really find that the decision they want to make is not good and irreversible, they will naturally come out and stop them. Even if they are cheated, what can they do? His sister is bullied. As her brother, Xiao Bao will definitely help her get back. You must not know about the various football teams and competitions in Beijing recently. Football? Princess Jincheng wiped her tears and asked in confusion, is it QQ or Kuju? I've seen people play polo there as well. The ball flies very high and very accurately. It can always fly over the tallest pole between two vertical poles. What did this have to do with Xiao Bei and the others? If they kick, don't fall. A few days ago, the ground in the capital was hard. Li Shi, you do it. Li Longji was truly at his wit's end. He realized that his little sister was always thinking of Xiao Bei and the others as weaklings. However, in reality, were Xiao Bei and the others weak? With Xiao Bao and Cuckoo as her brothers and sisters, she couldn't be weak even if she wanted to. Before Gao Lisher opened his mouth, a smile appeared on his face. He thought about Xiao Bei and the other 9 children. Every time they went out to play, they would always give some gifts to some of them when they came back. This put him in a good mood. When he got the 2 dolls last time, he took the time to personally water them. They were already very lush. Although their actual value was very high, he was happier than if he had received gold, silver, and jewelry. He didn't lack money. What he lacked was a home and family. Thinking of this, Gao Lisher's eyes turned red as Weiwei. He laughed and said to Princess Jinsheng, Xiao Bei and the others found a group of people a few days ago and formed a football team. They changed the rules. I'll accompany the princess to take a look tomorrow. In the end, they told the rules to the other football teams. When they played, they lost 3 games in a row, all by a large margin. Thus, the situation that Your Majesty described happened. Seeing his sister lose the game, Xiao Bao, as her brother, wasn't willing to accept it. So he went to command. That day, he won a game and taught them a lot of kicking skills. Before the military selection, the generals chose a football team to compete with. During that time, Xiao Bei's football team was always winning against other teams. They both had their wins and losses. It was a very common team. Xiao Bao helped his sister vent her anger. Princess Jinsheng was slightly dissatisfied. How could there be such an elder brother? At this time, Empress Wang said, Nunu, it's not what you think. The team that usually competes is a substitute team. They don't receive any training at all. When they play against the 10,000 generals team, the main team will be sent out. You definitely won't be able to guess the result. 29-0, the 10,000 generals team didn't score a single goal. Until today, the 10,000 generals team has won 5 games in a row and hasn't lost a single goal. They have scored more than 20 goals in every game. So, you don't have to worry about Xiao Bei and the others being bullied. Their brother is there. Princess Jinsheng was happy. At the same time, she was curious. New rules? Xiao Bao is so good. He still has time to play football? I must go and take a look tomorrow. Zhu Zan was also curious, but he was thinking more about how Xiao Bao and Cuckoo learned. When the 2 of them were together, they were practically all-rounders. That's right. There's a game tomorrow. I also want to go and take a look. It's a pity that Xiao Bao can't play in person. Otherwise. Xiao Bao, Xiao Bao. Xiao Bao, didn't you say you would accompany me to chat? What are you doing by the sand table? When Li Longji mentioned Zhang Xiaobao, he realized that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan weren't looking at him at all. Instead, they were drawing on the sand table. Me? I'm thinking about where Xiao Bei will live when we arrive. Zhang Xiaobao turned around and said with a smile. That's the sand table of the Jiangnan circuit, not the Hunan circuit. Xiao Bei and the others are in Hongnong. Li Longji very bluntly pointed out the fact that Zhang Xiaobao was lying. Yes, but Xiao Bei and the others are being investigated in the Jiangnan circuit's Jiangzhou. They'll be heading south in a few days. As her older brother, can't I take a look in advance? When we were in Jili Prefecture, Xiao Bei was still thinking about the oysters in winter for you to eat. You don't think about her, but I do. If she eats something bad and gets sick, I won't be able to bring back the delicious local food for you. Zhang Xiaobao used the move of retreating in order to advance. It seemed like he was explaining, but it was actually more ruthless than directly cursing. As expected, Li Longji's face suddenly turned red. At the same time, he was very angry. He glared at Zhang Xiaobao. His original intention was to ask why Xiaobao and Cuckoo didn't talk to him. In the end, in just a few sentences, Xiaobao made it sound like he didn't care about Xiaobei and the others. Then you continue to watch. Don't let them get sick. If they really get sick from eating something bad, not only will I not be able to eat the food they bring back, but the most capable group of doctors you sent to them will also lose their heads. Li Longji also challenged Zhang Xiaobao. What he meant was, could Xiaobei and the others get sick from eating something bad? This time, Princess Jinsheng didn't say anything. She only covered her mouth and chuckled. Right at this time, a messenger came in from outside. He moved a small model of a white eagle that was originally placed in the sky above Hangzhou to the position of Wang Wan's middle army. He also moved the model that represented fire to the three directions of Hangzhou, which had a radius of 100 li. He said, according to the judgment of the judges, General Shui Yun has already received the information and returned to the middle army. According to General Shui Yun's IQ, he can clearly express the matter. Wang Wan smiled with satisfaction. What did Shui Yun say? General Shui Yun flew to the vicinity of your sand table and used his mouth to draw a circle of 100 li. Then, on a piece of paper with many words written on it, he used his mouth to point to the word fire. He flapped his wings in 8 directions and shook his head, indicating that there was no wind. The messenger answered Wang Wan's question according to the answer given by the judges. Is Shui Yun really that smart? Princess Jinsheng knew that Shui Yun was powerful, but she didn't believe that he could convey such specific information. Zuzan Chide also had a look of disbelief. Tubo also had eagles that could detect the enemy, but what the messenger said was beyond his imagination. The messenger nodded. Princess, Shui Yun is at the center of the sand table. Zhang Ying let him perform for a while, and only then did the judges recognize his ability. It's already so late, and you're still tormenting him. His child is about to learn to fly. Well, call him over. Do you want me to go there? Zhang Xiaobao was very unhappy that the judges deliberately called Shui Yun here for the sake of judgment. Shui Yun was indeed an eagle, but more often than not, he and the others treated Shui Yun as a human. It was wrong to torment people casually. Gao Lisher walked to the door. Xiaobao, don't go out so easily. I'll go get Shui Yun. After a while, Gao Lisher came back with 2 people behind him carrying a wooden pole. Shui Yun was standing on it. It wasn't that he couldn't come over himself, but he was afraid that he would damage his claws. Also, he occasionally needed to use the power of his wings, which could easily create a strong wind. There were also a few grindstones tied to the wooden pole. There were coarse sand and fine sand, and they were used to sharpen Shui Yun's claws and beak. Normally, eagles would grind their own stones. Shui Yun was getting smarter and smarter, so he wouldn't do such a stupid thing. How could rocks be better than grindstones? It was like making a nest for children. Only a fool would pick up a branch. How could it be warmer than cotton? Zhang Ying followed behind with a cage in his hand. Zuzan Chide greeted Shui Yun as soon as he saw him. Here, we've met before. I know you're smart, but I didn't expect you to be literate. I'll say a word, and you can point to it. It's the word Jiang. Shui Yun glanced at Ancestor Qida and ignored him. She turned to look at Zhang Ying and called out twice. Zhang Ying had dealt with eagles all year round and said, Shui Yun wants to look at the sand table. Carry her near the sand table and be gentle. The 2 people carrying the pole carefully carried Shui Yun to the sand table. Shui Yun folded his wings tightly, afraid that the wind from his wings would disturb the model on the sand table. Zhang Ying lifted the cage. Inside were 2 injured and bandaged squirrels. Their big tails were shaking. These are the squirrels Shui Yun caught. He told me for a while before I understood that he caught them to give them to Xiaobei and the others to play with. so their wounds were relatively shallow. When the squirrels were sent here, they only had the skin on their backs scratched. They didn't die. The doctor applied medicine on them and fed them. He said that the wounds would heal in a few days. Everyone looked at Shui Yun. Shui Yun only nodded to Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, indicating that he could understand human language. That was exactly what he meant. Zhang Xiaobao came over and touched Shui Yun's head. He said, "You've worked hard. Xiaobei and the others will be very happy when they know. It's a pity that they're not here now. They won't be able to see your children learn to fly. When the little ones start learning to fly, don't forget to give them a heads up. Although our family's power isn't big enough, we still have the ability to protect the little ones." No one around agreed with Zhang Xiaobao's words. Li Longji's reaction was especially obvious. "Xiaobao, this isn't called modesty, it's called hypocrisy. General Shui, it's a waste of your ability to catch squirrels. You should be proud of yourself. How about this? I'll confer you a low-ranking official, General Yunhui, with a goldfish bag. What do you think?" Shui Yun didn't understand this time. He looked at Li Longji and then at Zhang Xiaobao. Xiaobao pointed to the goldfish bag at his waist and said, "The goldfish bag is this thing. You don't usually use it. General Yunhui is a third-rank official, a lower third-rank official. He's the same as Xiaobei and the others. Anyway, it's about the same." After a few words and gestures, Shui Yun finally understood. He nodded and whistled at Li Longji. Perhaps he didn't know what a lower third-rank official position meant, but it was a good thing to know. Zhang Xiaobao said again, "Shui Yun, they don't believe in your ability. Let them test you. Your Majesty, test Shui Yun. Don't ask questions that are too difficult," Zhang Xiaobao said to Li Longji again. The crowd soon began to pay attention to Shui Yun. For example, they asked what 1 + 1 was, what language Shui Yun could understand, and so on. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan took the opportunity to run to the sand table to discuss the situation of the battle. Wang Yi acted. When there was no wind, he made his own decision and roasted the hot air balloon of the enemy vanguard. Fortunately, there was Shui Yun, otherwise, more people would have died. Even so, they won't be able to easily rush over and find our main force. Do they really think they're invincible just because they have a hot air balloon for reconnaissance? Even if they use a plane for reconnaissance, I can prevent them from finding our main force. Wang Yi did a good job. I hope they can stall for more time. War is like this. You know that the troops left behind will die, but you have to make a decision. Wang Wan's words made one feel helpless, but her expression remained resolute. A marshal could not be weak, or else the soldiers would have sacrificed themselves in vain. Even if she had to grit her teeth, she had to cut her own flesh. Zhang Xiaobao used his baton to point at the burning area. A mountain fire can't be extinguished just because you say so, especially in an autumn environment. The vanguard can only make two choices. The first is to stay put and wait for the army behind them to arrive. Wang Wan continued, the second is to take a risk and charge forward, demonstrating the value of the vanguard. We already know that the vanguard of the enemy is Zhang Shogui. Who told him to run over to the sand table and make a ruckus? He saved us the trouble of analyzing the path and method of the vanguard. After Wang Wan finished speaking, she turned to Zhang Xiaobao. Zhang Xiaobao pondered for a few moments, then said, Zhang Shogui's personality is rather easy to grasp. In my judgment, he won't split his army into two groups and advance side by side to circle around the burning mountain region. He'll concentrate his army on one path and then snake forward, bringing in aerial reconnaissance units from the central army. Yes, I estimate that his hot air balloon unit will be completely wiped out. I don't believe that they'll temporarily adjust the ratio of the various groups in the army structure you've been teaching them. One reason is that they're used to fighting according to the army structure you've taught them, and the other reason is that they were tormented so badly that night that they couldn't gather together to discuss the changes and come to a consensus. When Zhang Xiaobao said this, he did not use lip language, speaking directly. Li Longji and the others were conversing with Shui Yun, but when they heard Zhang Xiaobao's words, they immediately fell silent and listened to Zhang Xiaobao's analysis. Wang Wan didn't care. Right now, she and Xiao Bao were discussing war. She was confident that even if Li Longji wasn't satisfied and wanted the two of them to chat with him, she could directly refuse. Thus, she said, based on the intelligence we've gathered over the past few days, Zhang Shogui is an opportunist. He has enough offense, but not enough defense. My guess is that he'll send a small group to advance from another path and then use the telegraph to quickly transmit information. Does he really think that he's invincible just because he has a radio station? With every advantage, there's always a disadvantage. Let Shuiyun rest. Otherwise, if they lose, they'll think that they lost because of Shuiyun and won't accept it. This time, I'll let them know that rapid transmission of information can also be used by the enemy. Li Longji and the others were watching. When they suddenly saw Wang Wan point her baton at the location of Mount Huangshan and heard Wang Wan's words, they suddenly felt that the generals were about to face an extremely difficult test. Zhang Xiaobao didn't pay attention to the others. Looking at the location Wang Wan pointed at, he nodded. Okay. If we eat up the enemy's main vanguard at Mount Huangshan, we'll probably have to sacrifice at least 10,000 people. You're planning to use the sparrow tactic to set up a path, using the enemy's advanced intelligence network to confuse and mobilize the enemy's main force. Then the soldiers we'll send down will have to fight on their own. The enemy's artillery fire is still very fierce, and my logistics won't be able to keep up. When Wang Wan heard Zhang Xiaobao's analysis, she chuckled. How could that be? Why would their artillery fire be so fierce? Do they think that artillery shells are sesame seeds? If they put them in their pockets, they'll have a whole bunch. I want to see how Zhang Shogui will judge if I give them a field of fire. At this point, Wang Wan turned to the messenger and said, Orders. The scouts of the Central Army are to act as messengers and use the fastest speed to pass down the new orders. The commanders of the scout teams are to gather the Central Army for a meeting. Soon, all the commanders of the Central Army scout teams were present. They ignored Li Longji and the others, treating them as if they didn't exist. All of them were looking at Wang Wan. Orders. Send the orders to the other units. Each unit is to divide into 100-man teams. Pay attention to concealment and scatter to lure the enemy. With Hangzhou as the central line from east to west, carry out a serpentine movement. If you discover a small group of enemy troops north of the central line, work with the nearby friendly units to surround and annihilate them. If you discover a small group of enemy troops south of the central line, there's no need to engage them. Quickly retreat and force your way out of the enemy's line of sight. You're not allowed to merge with other units. If the enemy pursues you, continue to scatter and fight on your own. If you hide in the forest, set fire to the forest. The goal is to lure the enemy's main force to the foot of Mount Huangshan. Logistics commanders, listen up. After Wang Wan finished arranging the messengers, she continued to talk about logistics. Zhang Xiaobao gave a clean military salute and said, Chief Logistics Commander Zhang Xiaobao has arrived. Zhang Xiaobao, I order your troops to supply our main forces with bows and arrows without delay. Wang Wan was not Zhang Xiaobao's wife at this moment, but a real commander. Zhang Xiaobao also didn't treat Wang Wan as his wife. He said seriously, Zhang Xiaobao accepts the order. Messengers, pass on my order. Dispatch messengers from the logistics camp. Dispatch messengers to each division as soon as possible. Contents, in the logistics camp, except for the 1st and 2nd Independent Brigades, the ambush troops will not move. The logistics and supply team of the 1st Logistics Division, 1st Logistics Division, 1st and 4th Brigades, 2nd Division, 1st and 2nd Brigade, 1st and 2nd Regiment, 3rd Division, 1st and 3rd Regiment, 1st and 3rd Regiment, 4th Division, 2nd Brigade, 1st and 2nd Regiment, 1st and 3rd Regiment, 4th Division, 2nd Brigade, 1st and 3rd Regiment, 3rd Division, 2nd Brigade, 1st and 2nd Regiment, 4th Division, 3rd and 4th Independent Battalions, 4th Division, 3rd and 4th Independent Battalions, all will move at the same time. Gather all 20,000 troops, bring food and long-range weapon supplies, and quickly deliver them to Mount Huangshan. The other two ND Divisions, 3rd Brigade, the 2nd Brigade of the 4th Brigade, the 3rd Regiment of the 2nd Brigade of the 3rd Division, the 2nd Regiment of the 1st Brigade of the 4th Division, the 5th Regiment of the 1st Independent Regiment of the 1st Brigade of the 1st Division and the 5th Regiment of the 1st Independent Regiment of the 1st Brigade of the 1st Division. If the feint attack team does not receive the order within 10 days, they will move along the southernmost border of the Jiangnan Road map, moving forward on their own to lure or engage the enemy's middle army. Chapter 997. Upon hearing Zhang Xiaobao's order, Li Longji and the others finally realized that while it was true that Zhang Xiaobao did not participate in military matters, this did not mean that he did not understand military strategy. That's right. Back then, Xiaobao was the one in command of the logistics camp in Idyll. He made it so that the vanguard didn't have to worry about the terrain or the weather, allowing them to move unimpeded. Who said that logistics couldn't provide support? Who said that the rear guard had to be on the other side of the field? Goalkeepers also have times when they can assist. When Li Longji heard Zhang Xiaobao's order to attack, he finally understood. When the Great Tang attacked Tibet, the first to display its ability was the logistics camp in Idyll. Just because they did not display their abilities did not mean that they did not know how to fight. The vanguard of the generals, Zhang Shogui, still did not know that Zhang Xiaobao had pushed the logistics camp forward and feigned an attack to confuse him. He was still staring at the sand table, enduring the immense pressure. There was only one thought in his mind: faster, faster. Lord Zhang, what is your holiness worried about? In one day, our entire army will come ashore. At that time, our guns and cannons will fire. I don't believe that they will be able to resist. Wang Zhongxi had also heard that the emperor had come to Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan's room to chat. He believed that his chance had come, but when he saw Zhang Shogui's brow furrowed, he tried to persuade him. You don't know. Things aren't as simple as you think. Since Wang Wan arranged for people to light the fire, she definitely has a rough idea of what we might do. I have to take advantage of the fact that they aren't well informed to move faster so that they won't be able to react in time. Zhang Shogui pointed his baton at the location of the fire on the sand table as he spoke. Wang Zhongxi also found a baton and pointed it at a model of the river next to Hangzhou. Then wouldn't it be better if we didn't get off the ship and just went against the current to Zhejiang? That way, our gunboats would be able to use them. You're dreaming. You can think of using a ship, so how could Wang Wan and the others not? If we stop in the middle of the sea, we'll have a chance to escape when the fleet is suddenly attacked and run to Zhejiang. How wide is that river? When the time comes, they will put down a lot of sharp logs upstream, or use fire ships to attack from upstream. Where will we hide? We still have a lot of supplies on board, but they'll all be gone by then. Zhang Shogui used his baton to draw a line across the Zhejiang River, effectively rejecting this suggestion. Wang Zhongxi opened his mouth, wanting to say something, but in the end, he held himself back. He walked to the side and sat on a chair. He leaned his head back, intending to rest. These past few days had been tiring for him, and he hadn't had a good night's sleep. Now that the battle was about to begin, he could finally relax. They were not afraid that they could not win, but they could not find them previously. Although their own team had been tricked and lost all of their vanguards and hot air balloon troops, they had finally met someone. They could do whatever they wanted in the future and would not have to worry about finding them anymore. While this was what Wang Zhongxi was thinking, Zhang Shogui was thinking from a different angle. He circled the sand table twice and softly muttered, "Is this Wang Wan's vanguard, or is this a scout?" If it was a scout, they would have either run away or been burned to death. After muttering to himself, he opened up the map. This map was much more detailed, unlike the sand table in front of him. Due to the small number of maps that had been made, a batch had been made at the last minute, so the quality could not compare to the earlier ones. Upon looking at the map, Zhang Shogui once more narrowed his eyes and muttered, "If it's a vanguard, where would Wang Wan's main force be? They don't have good information, and they don't have telescopes for reconnaissance, so, not good." As Zhang Shogui spoke, he suddenly shouted, waking Wang Zhongxi from his sleep. Wang Zhongxi placed a hand on his chest and looked over in confusion. "Lord Zhang, what happened? Do you know that our army is in danger?" Wang Zhongxi could only get down from his chair and return to the sand table. He looked at Zhang Shogui and waited for his explanation. Zhang Shogui gravely nodded. "That's right. We ran into a very troublesome situation. Only then did I remember that they have hawks. Other hawks might be bad at delivering information, but the water cloud will definitely be acknowledged by the referees. If that water cloud flies 10,000 meters into the air, it can see our layout from very high up in the sky. Won't it tell Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan when it gets back? You agree with this theory, right?" As he spoke, sweat began to drip down Zhang Shogui's forehead. He had no idea how much Wang Wan had learned about the situation on his side through the water cloud. Wang Zhongxi and the other officers in the vanguard also sensed the threat from the sky. Some of them even raised their heads to look up. There was a canopy above, so there was naturally no water cloud, and the water cloud did not need to actually fly. Then what do we do? Our every move is probably under the control of Wang Wan and Zhang Xiaobao. There's no way we can fight this battle. That hawk flies so high that we can't shoot it down with our guns. It can see us, but we know nothing about it. In other words, Wang Wan can make arrangements according to our arrangements at any time." When Wang Zhongxi thought about the water cloud, he felt very helpless. If he had known that this would happen, he would have never allowed Wang Wan and Zhang Xiaobao to carry the water cloud. Just as everyone in the room was feeling troubled by Shui Yun's existence, a messenger came in from outside and said to Wang Zhongxi and the others, "His Majesty said that from now on, General Shui Yun will become a normal eagle and won't be as smart as the real him." Really? Did Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan agree? Wang Zhongxi excitedly asked, and he heard that the water cloud would not be used. It was Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan who proposed not to use the water cloud. They said that using the water cloud would be bullying you, the messenger replied. After saying this, he left, leaving the officers in the room looking at each other in dismay. "They're looking down on us." Wang Zhongxi was clearly very dissatisfied that he had been looked down on. Zhang Shogui was neither happy nor angry. With a calm expression, he said, "It seems that Wang Wan wants to move against us, or else she wouldn't have specifically mentioned the water cloud." When the other generals heard this, they all nodded in agreement. If Wang Wan continued to hide, the water cloud wouldn't be too important to others. It was impossible for 100,000 people to hide without leaving a single trace. But now, Wang Wan had emphasized the water cloud, which meant that she had already made arrangements. The battle was about to begin, and they were worried that with the water cloud's existence, they would not be able to display their abilities. Although this was a military examination for Wang Wan, wasn't it also a sort of test for the officers? With this thought in mind, the officers calmed down and became more serious. They reckoned that after this competition, someone would judge them. If they performed poorly in this military examination, their positions might be changed. If the emperor really promoted him from a 4th-grade official to a 6th-grade official, it would not only be a difference of 2 grades, but also the salary and the land at home. Of course, the gifts given by the Zhang family and the Wang family would also be gone. They would only give gifts to the officials who could attend the imperial court. Wang Zhongxi thought of this and decided not to rest. He stood next to the sand table and pondered, muttering to himself as he pondered. This matter is troublesome. If I don't perform well in this military examination, will I be kicked out of the academy? Then my benefits will be gone. In the future, if I want to eat the food of Savant's restaurant, I'll have to pay for it all myself. Also, the dried seafood will also be gone. If I want to be promoted in the future, it will be difficult. No, I have to be more serious. I can't make a fool of myself. With Wang Zhongxi's words, the emotions of the other officers also fluctuated. Just now, they had only had this thought. Now that they heard someone directly describe the problem, it would be a lie to say that they didn't feel pressured. Very soon, this news spread to the various rooms, allowing everyone to understand that the water cloud had become stupid. At the same time, it also made many people worried, afraid that they would fail this examination. Lord Zhang, what should we do? Wang Zhongxi became serious and began to think of a strategy. Zhang Shougui watched as the model of the ship that represented their team was slowly moved by messengers on the sea. He was very anxious. He wished that he could just take the model and place it at the port of Hangzhou. That way, he could immediately give the next order. But now, he had to wait. He had to wait at least 6 hours for the model of the ship to reach the location he needed. This was the most painful matter. Who knew what kind of arrangements Wang Wan had made? Hearing someone ask, Zhang Shougui lowered his head and carefully looked at the sand table. Suddenly, he pointed at the sand table and said, "This is Mount Huangshan, and this is Mount Linli. There are 2 mountains. If I were Wang Wan, would arrange for the soldiers to hide here. Mount Huangshan is high and steep." After saying this, without waiting for others to express their opinion, Zhang Shougui shook his head again. No, if that was the case, the enemy wouldn't even need to attack Mount Huangshan. They could just send the hot air balloon troops and drop bombs. The other troops could then surround them. Wouldn't that be forcing them to their deaths? Wang Wan is definitely not that stupid. Otherwise, she would have been caught in Tubo. At this point, Zhang Shougui raised his head and looked at the officers around him. They nodded without thinking, because what Zhang Shougui said was right. Who would send themselves to their deaths? How could Wang Wan not know the application of such a simple tactic? Thus, even if her main force was not too far from Hangzhou, it would definitely not appear in Mount Huangshan. Hearing the analysis, Wang Zhongxi said, "Then shouldn't we go around the burned area from the south and directly find the enemy troops to attack? After all, in the mountains, our cannons won't be easy to transport and will move very slowly." "No, we won't go from the south, we'll go from the north. I know that the cannons won't be easy to transport, but we still have to go from the north. We'll have the 1st Brigade go from the south and increase our momentum to confuse the enemy. The main force of our vanguard is 15,000 people. When we move forward, we have to snake our way forward, not directly. It's best if we can capture all of their scouts so that they can't transmit any information. After that, we'll go all the way to Mount Huangshan and wait for the Middle Army to send us the follow-up supplies." Zhang Shougui really did as Zhang Xiaobao had analyzed. He had chosen to snake forward without the slightest error. But while others might not understand, Wang Zhongxi was very confused. He asked, "General Zhang, why must we go to Mount Huangshan and snake forward?" Zhang Shougui gave a self-satisfied smile and said, "Snake forward can make it difficult for the enemy to determine if we are the main force or not. Even if the enemy scouts are hiding, they will worry that we have surrounded them. The scouts won't be able to see how we snake forward, but that our troops are moving back and forth from the north to the south. This way, they will think that we haven't discovered their main force and are currently searching for them. Since it's a search, it naturally won't be the main force. And our path forward is also toward Mount Huangshan. Do you think that Wang Wan will think of a way to eat up this portion of our troops?" When she lectured us, she said that besides achieving the true strategic objective, what is even more important is constantly wiping out the enemy's strength. She said that we can't just give up on a tactical arrangement because the enemy has too few people. We have to persevere and find a way to obtain small victories. When these small victories are gathered together, they will become a great victory. When the generals heard this, they felt that it was very reasonable and nodded once more. Wang Zhongxi excitedly clapped his hands and said, "Oh, so it turns out that Lord Zhang wants to draw Wang Wan's troops to Mount Huangshan and then wipe them out in one fell swoop, or at least kill off as much of their strength as possible. I think this plan is feasible, because Wang Wan uses cold weapons. If she wants to directly clash with us, let alone 100,000, even 1 million wouldn't be enough to kill us. So she can only think of a way to scatter our troops and then concentrate her superior forces, slowly using numbers to win. I'll go and arrange it now. Not only do we need to snake forward, we also need to tell the soldiers that when we advance, we need to loudly announce that we are going to Mount Huangshan to rest and reorganize, and that the mission of searching for the enemy must be completed. After saying this, Wang Zhongxi really did go to find a messenger to give the order. The rest of the generals also continued to look at the sand table, especially the area around Mount Huangshan. They imagined that Wang Wan's troops would be fooled and then completely wiped out at the foot of Mount Huangshan. Cui Shi was one of them. When he looked at the sand table, the more he looked, the more he felt that victory was in sight. This time, even if they couldn't completely wipe out Wang Wan's 100,000 troops, they would be able to wipe out the troops she sent, which had a great advantage in terms of numbers. Looking at the model representing Mount Huangshan, Cui Shi echoed and said, I know why Lord Zhang wants to come to Mount Huangshan. Although the road is not easy to walk on, once we reach Mount Huangshan, we can set up the cannons and attack from above. At the same time, even if we don't have the hot air balloon brigade, we don't need to wait for the Central Army to send them over. We still have the glider wing brigade. Jumping down from the mountain is much easier than jumping down from the mast. I don't believe that the referees will be able to say that Mount Huangshan is windless. Correct, precisely so. Perhaps many people think that sending an army to Mount Huangshan isn't a good idea, but it's precisely because other people think this way that Wang Wan and Zhang Xiaobao also think the same way. They know that it won't be easy for my main force to go to Mount Huangshan, so they must have sent a small force. So this is our chance. As long as we win this battle, we won't need to be on edge, and we can also let the Central Army, the Rear Army, and the logistics officers relax. As Zhang Shogui spoke, he let out a long sigh of relief. He had truly been tormenting these last few days, and now he needed a victory to raise morale. To be more precise, it was to allow his generals to relax so that they could perform better. Zhang Shogui had only spoken of this plan in the vanguard's room. He didn't have a concrete plan, so he couldn't tell the Central Army for the time being. Just as he had expected, Yang Xixuan in the Central Army had been receiving non-stop reports from the vanguard for the last few days. Other than not being able to find the vanguard, they just couldn't find the vanguard. Just as they were about to make contact with the vanguard's hot air balloon brigade was shot down. They hadn't even seen the vanguard, but the vanguard had already been lost. The entire army was under immense pressure. Yang Xixuan had also received news that the vanguard would be able to reach Hangzhou tomorrow. At the same time, he ordered the Central Army to hurry over as quickly as possible. One reason was to continue using the 5,000 soldiers as bait, and the other was to work with the vanguard as quickly as possible to open up the situation. When he thought of the current situation, Yang Xixuan didn't even have the mood to eat. He looked at the egg-fried rice and soup that the kitchen had brought over, as well as a few plates of pickled vegetables. Several times, he wanted to pick up his chopsticks to eat, but he stopped every time. He said to the person in charge of taking care of them, "Take them away first. I can't eat them. Do you have cucumbers? Wash one for me. I'm grinding my teeth." The person quickly went to wash the cucumbers and brought them back. After taking a bite of the cucumbers, Yang Xixuan endured the pain of waiting for the vanguard to reach the shore. He said to the other generals, "If the vanguard fights with Wang Wan, we have to be very careful, because Wang Wan is definitely someone who likes to command battles on multiple fronts. If we are careless and think that she can't find the time to send people to scheme against us, then we are gravely mistaken. I think she even wants us to think this way." There were also many generals in the room where Yang Xixuan was. They all listened carefully, and at the same time, they continuously passed down orders to command their own part of the fleet. Yang Xixuan continued, "What I want to know the most right now is where Wang Wan's troops are hiding. And what methods do they have to use cold weapons against hot weapons? Since we haven't docked yet, you should all think about it. If it were you, and you were asked to use cold weapons to face the cannons and guns, what would you do to minimize your losses while ensuring the effectiveness of your attacks? Sir Yang, I thought of something. Someone stood out from the crowd in the room. It seemed that he had considered this question before. He said, "It's actually very simple. I just need to not be discovered by the enemy in advance, and then lie in ambush on both sides of the path that the enemy needs to take. When they pass by and we suddenly attack, their cannons will be useless. A bayonet on a gun is not as good as a cold weapon. As for their pistols, they have very few of them, and at the same time, it doesn't mean that they will definitely kill with a shot. Other than this sneak attack method, I also thought of using bows and arrows. Use a large number of bows and arrows and find a high place to shoot down. That way, it won't be worse than bullets. For example, there are many mountains on this sandbox. Here, this is a very big mountain, Yellow Mountain. If I were Wang Wan, I would ambush people here and think of a way to lure the vanguard over. Even if the price is high, as long as I can eat the vanguard, everything will be worth it." After this person finished speaking, he retreated. However, Yang Xishuan's eyes lit up. He was not interested in the two ideas that this person had suggested, but in the Yellow Mountain that this person had mentioned. His gaze immediately landed on the model of the Yellow Mountain, and then he looked at the 100-li radius of the forest that had been burned. He worriedly said, "It's possible that Wang Wan really did place the main force on the Yellow Mountain. If that's really the case, the vanguard is in danger. This won't do. I have to tell them. Someone, send a telegram to the vanguard. The Central Army guesses that Wang Wan's main force is in the Yellow Mountain area. The vanguard should not move and wait for the Central Army to arrive." After sending the message, Yang Xishuan ate the cucumber bite by bite. He anxiously paced back and forth in the room, afraid that the vanguard would not take his message seriously. It didn't take long for the vanguard to receive a signal from the radio. Someone wrote down Yang Xishuan's message on a piece of paper and sent it to Zhang Shougui. Upon seeing the words on the paper, Zhang Shougui smiled and said to the others, "The Central Army has sent a message saying that they're guessing that Wang Wan's main force is in the Yellow Mountain area. They want us to wait for the Central Army to arrive before moving." Lord Yang is very interesting. All the generals chuckled. Zhang Shougui's words were very interesting. They all understood that the people in the Central Army wanted to contribute, but they were also worried that their vanguard would get a higher score if they killed too many enemies. This was a competition between two parties. When the time came, the rewards would be different depending on who won or lost. This was especially true of the Yellow Mountain area. They had already analyzed the situation. If Wang Wan really dared to place the main force on the Yellow Mountain area, their vanguard would not even need to fight. They could just surround the area and guard the key entrance. When the Central Army and Rear Army arrived, their vanguard would be able to take down the Yellow Mountain area in one fell swoop. Not only did Zhang Shougui think this way, he was also a little dissatisfied with Yang Xishuan and Wei Wei. The greatest taboo in battle was to steal credit, but now, they were telling him not to advance and to wait in place. If that was really the case, what need was there for the vanguard? Wouldn't it have been better for everyone to come up together? If he really waited, when the martial selection ended, he might be accused of delaying the battle. If that really happened, would he, Yang Xishuan, take the blame? With this thought, Zhang Shougui immediately sent a message to Yang Xishuan. When Yang Xishuan saw the message, he helplessly shook his head. "I'm not in the mood for that. It's just a misunderstanding." "Fine, you're right. If Wang Wan really is on the Yellow Mountain, then the vanguard just needs to guard the key entrances and exits and not let the main force come out. Once we reach the place, we can attack together. Naturally, we can eliminate Wang Wan. Going by that logic, it's not wrong. Wang Wan probably also understands this principle, so she won't run to the Yellow Mountain." After analyzing the situation, Yang Xishuan regretted sending this message to the vanguard. He shouldn't have made them suspect that he was trying to steal credit from them. Why bother? But he also knew that his explanation was useless. The other party wouldn't believe him. Handing the report to a general beside him, Yang Xishuan said, "Pass it around. Then think about where Wang Wan is most likely to be." When everyone saw the message, it was the person who had suggested the idea. At this time, he spoke again. "I feel that Wang Wan had people light up the mountain because she wants to delay our attack. They need to set up a huge trap to trap us when the time comes. For example, if they empty a mountain or block a river, when we see that the river is shallow and halfway across, they will release the water. The people who cross will panic and lose a lot of their fighting strength. Those who don't cross will be naked on the other side of the river. In reality, this has a huge impact on the morale of the army. The judges will definitely make this judgment. Thus, Wang Wan needs to buy as much time as possible. I think she's no longer on the Jiangnan East Road, but on the Jiangnan West Road. We need to speed up and catch up." Yang Xishuan nodded and felt that it made sense. It was normal for Wang Wan to do something illogical. When they were fighting Tubo, didn't they do the same thing in the village? That's right. Digging a tunnel can help us avoid detection from above. Furthermore, if we dig a tunnel ahead of time and make the longest tunnel out of the night watchman's field of vision, they can wait for our people to arrive at that place and launch a sneak attack at night. It seemed that they didn't know when they would set up camp and where they would choose, but those who knew that the place to set up camp was similar. If Wang Wan and the others used a portion of their troops to delay or attract their troops, then it would affect the speed of their troops. When they needed to rest, their troops would be able to reach the place where Wang Wan and the others had dug a tunnel in advance. Then, it would be easy for them to be ambushed at night. Yes. This is very important. We can use a tunnel. I have to tell the vanguard in case they fall for it." Yang Xishuan rubbed his hands excitedly and was about to send a message to the vanguard when he suddenly remembered that he had sent a message just now. In the end, it made both sides unhappy. This time, it seemed that he shouldn't be so meddlesome. Yang Xishuan stopped calling for a messenger to send the message and said to the generals around him, "After we get ashore, no matter where we go, we have to investigate under our feet clearly. Especially under the stove in the house. See if there are any tunnels, wells, withered trees, etc." Everyone nodded. They felt that every bush and tree was an enemy. They hadn't even met Wang Wan's troops and they were already scared by themselves. Yang Xishuan also realized this problem. He didn't have a plan in mind. Who could he blame? If there was anyone to blame, it was Wang Wan, who was always lecturing them. When she was teaching, she was really unscrupulous. So when he faced her today, he would definitely think of the situation during her lecture and use that to analyze what kind of methods she would use. At this time, another person also spoke up. "I think that Wang Wan has another choice, and that is to use their commoners to disguise themselves as soldiers to confuse us, while their main forces will circle around the vanguard and catch us off guard. They might even go around the vanguard to attack the rear camp and go around the rear camp to attack the supply team. What we need to do is to increase our surveillance. We can't let them pass by us and cause trouble for our allies." Yang Xishuan nodded lightly and didn't make any comments. He realized that if they responded according to everyone's thoughts, not to mention 100,000 people, even 1,000,000 people wouldn't be able to do it. Thus, he decided not to think about it blindly. It was better to send them ashore as soon as possible. At this time, compared to the confusion of the generals who felt that anything was possible, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were much more relaxed. Their strategy was very clear. As for how the enemy would choose their route and method, the two of them weren't very worried. The information they gathered was very useful in terms of probability. Under normal circumstances, if a person's actions could be different from what psychology said, then in a tense situation, that person's actions would be what they were supposed to do and not change their train of thought. Li Longji was still talking to Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. This time, they didn't talk about Shui Yun. Li Longji had just been diverted by Zhang Xiaobao and gave Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan some time to study their strategy. When he found out, he didn't say anything. Now that the two of them weren't very busy, he asked Zhang Xiaobao, Xiaobei, and the others said that they want to give them tax exemption. This way, they're willing to spend half of the money on the Tang children. We believe that they will definitely keep their word and won't spend less money after tax exemption. But what we don't understand is that the tax actually doesn't even cover half of their profits, right? Why would they rather spend more money but still ask for tax exemption? Li Longji recalled the matter mentioned in the news that Xiao Bei and the others sent back. He didn't understand this point, so he asked Zhang Xiaobao about it. It wasn't just him. Other than Wang Wan, no one else understood. Princess Jincheng helped Xiao Bei and the others think. I think it should be like this. Xiao Bei and the others want to take out more money for the children, but they want to make more profits. At the same time, they feel that the tax they pay might not be used on the children. So, they thought of this method to use tax to exchange for more money to help the Tang children. They're so smart, they'll be more successful when they grow up. Li Longji was stunned by Princess Jincheng's words. He shook his head helplessly and said, "It's not like that at all. They must have used some method to let them not only not pay tax, but also take out half of the money to spend on the Tang children. The benefits they get, or rather the money they earn, are more than paying tax directly. Isn't that right, Xiaobao?" Zhang Xiaobao's eyes showed a confused expression. He shook his head. I don't know. I've been busy with the military selections. I don't have time to analyze this. It's probably a welfare measure that they came up with. Li Longji didn't believe Zhang Xiaobao's words at all. He looked at Wang Wan. Wang Wan's eyes were much clearer than Zhang Xiaobao's. She smiled and said, "That's what I think." Xiao Bei and the others are thinking that if they are exempted from taxes, they can use this amusement park as their headquarters in the future, which is their flagship store. Then, as for the subsidiary companies, they can merge the tax accounts with the headquarters. But the money for half of the profits would only be paid by the main company, not the subsidiary companies. In this way, Xiao Bei and the others would actually get a lot of benefits. Li Longji felt that it made sense. Just as he was about to agree, he thought of something and shook his head. That's impossible. When your family does business, they never use such methods. This is called cheating. You don't cheat your own country. Since that's the case, it's impossible for Xiao Bei and the others. If they really need money, they can find Xiao Bao and ask him for ideas. Moreover, Xiao Bao didn't stop them, which means that Xiao Bao already knew what they were going to do. And you, Cuckoo, you almost fooled me. I don't believe that you don't know either. The two of you must have realized that Xiao Bei and the others' plan would benefit you greatly. You were afraid that I would scheme against you, so you played dumb with me. I deny it. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan spoke at the same time, then laughed together. Li Longji was very depressed. Seeing Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan put on an expression that said, "I won't say anything even if you beat me to death." He waved his hand helplessly and let the two of them continue to study the strategy. He called Gao Lisher and the others over and sat in a circle to study how Xiao Bei and the others could take out half of the profits and still make more money than if they were not taxed. Empress Wang sat there and didn't make a sound. For her, this was a very difficult thing to do. She preferred to watch Wang Wan and Zhang Xiaobao play with the sand table instead of studying economic matters. Wu Huifei's eyes turned back and forth. She was also thinking about how to benefit from this matter. Since the situation that Wang Wan said would not happen with the tax exemption, then no matter how she calculated, she couldn't figure out how Xiao Bei and the others would benefit from it. It's so strange. Could it be that Xiao Bao helped to come up with this idea? Xiao Bei and the others seemed to. Wu Huifei thought carefully for a while, but in the end, she couldn't figure it out. She looked at Zhang Xiaobao and said, "That's impossible. If it was Xiao Bao's idea, Xiao Bao would have said it himself. This isn't the first time I've dealt with him like this. Although I always end up at a disadvantage in the end, I can say that it's already very difficult for others to lie. Li Longji denied Wu Huifei's statement and praised himself. He was a little proud. Gao Lishur echoed, I don't think it was Xiao Bao's idea. Xiao Bei and the others have already thought of many good ideas. They always stay with Xiao Bao and Cuckoo, so their way of thinking is almost the same. As for the idea of not paying taxes and taking out half of the profits, I can't figure it out for the time being. Unless it's like this, the tax they have to pay is more than half of the profits they take out. Otherwise, it's not worth it. But if it's not worth it, they won't deliberately say it. Gao Lishur said a lot, but in the end, it was useless. Princess Jincheng blinked and listened. She was very much looking forward to Xiao Bei and the others getting more benefits from the tax exemption. Such a good group of children should be rewarded more. Even though Zuzhenchide was once the king of Tubo and controlled the whole of Tubo, he wasn't proficient in economic matters. He was far from being proficient in military matters. The only thing he knew about economic matters was that he used to trade with Tang dynasty. He used horses, cows, sheep, and other products to exchange for tea leaves, salt, and iron from Tang dynasty. Of course, there was also the simplest method, and that was to find a way to marry a princess of Tang dynasty. Regardless of whether the princess was a real princess or a princess who was promoted to a princess at the last minute, as long as he married her, he would get a lot of things and craftsmen. In the past, it wasn't only Tubo who did this. The Tujue and some tribes in the north of Hebei province also did this. Everyone had their eyes on the additional benefits of marriage. But later on, as Xiao Bao and Cuckoo gradually grew up, Tang dynasty stopped sending women out. Even when they sent people to pay tribute, the return gift was so light that the value of the tribute wasn't even enough. Now, although he didn't have to worry about Tubo not having enough food because Tang dynasty would send them, he still didn't understand economic matters. This was really too difficult. Zuzhenchide thought and said, why don't we ask Xiao Bei and the others? They should know their own ideas. We can't ask. Li Longji quickly said, if we ask them, won't it make me look stupid? If the 9 of them can think of a method, I don't believe that I can't think of one myself. Everyone fell silent again as they tried to analyze the situation. After a quarter of an hour, Li Longji slapped his thigh and said, I know what's going on now. They must have found out that if they want to pay taxes, then they have to pay a proportional tax that includes both costs and profits. In other words, their cost is higher and their profit is smaller. If they pay tax according to the method I said, they will earn less. It's better to take out half of the profit. For example, they sell a piece of candy for 100 copper coins, but the profit is only 30 copper coins. If the tax is 20%, they have to pay 20 copper coins. But after the tax is exempted, even if they take out half of the profit and use it for other purposes, it will only be 15 copper coins. In this way, they will pay 5 copper coins less. How about it? Am I right? Xiao Bao, did you hear that? Tell me, am I right? Li Longji analyzed and felt that his analysis was completely correct. He was proud of himself again. Zhang Xiaobao smiled and replied, I don't know either. Maybe it's right. I'm looking at the terrain here. It's autumn now. If it's winter, I don't know if it will snow heavily. If it does, it won't be easy to hide. It'll be difficult. Wang Wan didn't need Li Longji to ask and said, so you can think like that. Amazing. After this busy period, I'll get someone to report it and ask Xiao Bei. At least I have to understand what they are doing. The profit ratio is so small. Chapter 998. When Li Longji heard Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan's answers, he immediately understood that he was wrong. Xiaobei's amusement park project definitely earned a lot of profits, and the ratio was very high. Otherwise, the 2 of them would have admitted it just now. In this situation, he was wrong, and they did not want to directly deny his words, so they gave such an answer. We don't believe that we can't think of something. Everyone, continue to think. It's just a matter of money, Li Longji said in a fit of pique, and then he began to think hard, looking very serious. The others also thought with him, and no one disturbed Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. Li Longji did not know how many losses he had brought to the generals after he went to Wang Wan's room. The generals all thought that since the emperor was talking to Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, the two of them would not be able to focus on the battle, so they were a little gloating. But it was precisely this thought that made them slack off, especially the people in charge of the specific battalions and teams. They did not have much to do, and only the brigade that went ashore was relatively busier, but they still did not discover the enemy. This state of not being able to be nervous made them slower to react to unexpected situations. In the hibiscus garden, while everyone was thinking about their own matters and making arrangements, Xiaobei and the others had already arrived at Old Willow Village. Lu Feifei was on the train to Hongnom to pick them up. When she saw Xiaobei and the others, Lu Feifei, who had been on tenterhooks for the past few days, felt much more at ease. She did not believe that there were officials in the Great Tang who could contend against Xiaobei and the others. When Xiaobei got off the train, the first thing she did was give Lu Feifei a hug. But she was short, so her hug could only reach Lu Feifei's waist and not her shoulders. Big sister Feifei, don't worry. I've already arranged for people to protect your brother. It should be almost done by now. We plan to let him out, as long as he doesn't suffer in there. Then, when I get there, I want to see how the local officials of Jiang District explain it to me. They should be very honest, but who asked the economy to develop so quickly? All of them are starting to scheme. Xiaobei knew what Lu Feifei was most concerned about, so he said what Lu Feifei wanted to hear the most when they met. Sure enough, a sweet smile appeared on Lu Feifei's face. She nodded and said, "Since you said it's okay, it's definitely okay. I believe that your people over there can protect my good brother. Let's go. This time there are more people from your family. My mother is here, so there are more people protecting and serving me. Let me introduce you. Come, follow me." Xiaobei held Lu Feifei's hand and pulled her to the side of the train. After waiting for a while, her mother and Xiao Yuan's mother came down. As soon as they came down, the Zhang Wang clan's mother said to Xiaobei, "Why are you running? The guards haven't finished yet, and you ran down. What if something happened?" "Impossible. How could something happen?" "Mother and aunt, let me introduce you. This is Lu Feifei from Old Willow Village. Her brother went to other places to help us sell things, so he was caught by the government office there. Big sister Feifei, this is my mother, and this is my aunt. She is Xiao Yuan's mother." Xiaobei didn't answer his mother's words, but began to introduce them to each other. Lu Feifei naturally received the good treatment she deserved. She was pulled by the two elders to ask about this and that, and also received a lot of gifts. She couldn't hold them all by herself, so she had to let others continue to help her. Then they went to Old Willow Village. When they passed by Hongnon County, Xiaobei made a comparison and found that the county was better than before, especially the amusement park that was going to be built as a compensation for them. She looked forward to it being built soon, so that she could have fun first. Then, Xiaobei and the other 8 people came up with a plan to use half of the profits in exchange for taxes. They were now almost at Old Willow Village. The road under their feet was many times better than the last time they were here. It was mainly because there was a flood the last time they were here, so they had to wade through the water to get there. Now, it was replaced with cement roads. "Big sister Feifei, how is life in the village now?" Xiaobei sat in the car and looked at the scenery outside that was slowly retreating. She asked Lu Feifei, who was sitting in front of her. "Life is much better than before. Ever since we went to Hongnom to help weave baskets, our village's reputation has grown. Many rich families would point to our Old Willow Village's baskets if they want to buy baskets, saying that they are sturdy and durable. You also know about willow trees. Even if it's just a willow branch, it can still grow if it's inserted into the ground. Therefore, we weave all kinds of things. Not only are the people from Hongnong buying them, we pile them together and send them to Luoyang by train. Our house has already changed. It's no longer the short and weak mud house you saw the last time you were here. Now, we are using bricks and cement. We found someone from Jingjing Construction to build it. When the people from Jingjing Construction saw that it was our village, they didn't charge us for the labor. They only ate the food we made, so we made a lot of delicious food for them. Lu Feifei spoke as she gestured. She appeared very excited as the smile on her face never faded. Xiao Bei nodded vigorously when she heard that. She was also happy. That's great. Is it a 2-story building? Since Jingjing Construction is here to build it, they will definitely suggest building a 2-story building for your house. Yes, yes. 2 stories. I live on the upper floor. Standing there allows me to see very far. Now, at my house, we don't have to go out to buy things. There are people who specially transport the things to the other side of the bridge and wait for us to buy them. Lu Feifei nodded as well before she began talking about all kinds of interesting matters. Xiao Bei listened seriously and learned of the changes in the village from Lu Feifei. First of all, Old Willow Village did not suffer any losses during the disaster. In addition, they had helped to earn a lot of money in the past. At the same time, they helped to build a reputation for the willow knitting business in the village. As a result, their willow knitting business earned more money. Now, unless they organized a train to transport a box of willow knitting, they would not sell it at other places. Usually, other people would buy it and sell it at other places. Speaking of the willow knitting business, the people of Old Willow Village were indeed good at it, but not many people were willing to buy it. Even if the willow knitting business did not look very beautiful, it was fine as long as it could be used. Did the basket used to carry dung need to be very gorgeous? The reason why more people were willing to buy the willow knitting business from Old Willow Village was because this business had saved lives when they helped Hong Nongzhong rebuild the village. A person went up to the top of the 3rd floor of a restaurant and was working there. Suddenly, he accidentally fell from the top. The moment he fell, he grabbed a willow basket. In the end, he used the basket as a cushion under his body. Other than being scared and sweating, nothing happened to him. Not even a small wound was found. Then, everyone went to look at the basket. The only thing that changed the shape of the basket was that Wei Wei used her feet to return to its original shape. The willow branches did not break. Everyone took turns to look at the basket and found that the willow branches used to weave the basket were very strong. The weave was very fine and the outside was very smooth. There were no burrs at all. This was really a good basket. Otherwise, how could it save a life? Everyone went to ask who made the basket. After asking, they found out that it was the people from Old Willow Village who provided it. From that moment on, Old Willow Village's willow knitting business became famous. The material was good, the workmanship was good, and it was auspicious. Just like that, as long as the people around wanted to buy a basket, they would choose Old Willow Village's products. When there was demand, there would naturally be production. The people of Old Willow Village were busy weaving all kinds of things every day. Merchants came over and waited at the bridge for the people of Old Willow Village to bring the things they wanted to sell over. They would pay the money and directly buy it. Many merchants came, but the amount of goods produced in the village was limited. Therefore, the merchants waited for a long time, but there were very few who could actually buy. When a smart merchant saw this situation, he simply stopped buying willow knitting. He found a few people to be his shop assistants and began to sell soup pancakes, noodles, wontons, and so on. The noodles were directly bought in Old Willow Village. The shredded cucumber sprinkled on top of the noodles were also bought in the village. The village's own seeds made the merchant's business very good. When the other merchants saw this, they all thought of ways. Not only did they buy things from Old Willow Village, but they also transported things that the village did not have. When the people of the village came out to sell willow knitting, they would naturally take a look at other things. Therefore, during winter, a market appeared outside Old Willow Village. Now that spring had arrived, the market became even more prosperous. Xiao Bei and the others were very happy when they heard this. As long as the village was doing well, it was happiness in their hearts. However, the two adults and their mother heard a lot of things from the story and recalled things that happened a long time ago. At that time, although the Zhang family and the Wang family could still live a normal life in Zhuangzi, it was definitely not very good. Compared to now, it was a world of difference. Later on, it was Xiao Bao and Cuckoo who helped develop it bit by bit. First, they set up a market. Then, they kept making things outside. All kinds of good things were made. Now, Sanshui County was no different from their own family. If you randomly picked a family in Zhuangzi and placed them in a normal place, they would be a local wealthy family. Whether the life of a place is good or not, you just need to see if there is a market and what is sold in the market to know. Xiao Bei, you should let the officials of each place look at the market in the place they are in charge of. Only by looking at the market can you know what the local people lack, their living habits, and so on. You don't need to check the various accounts and tax records. Because many of the markets are organized by themselves, they don't collect taxes. Xiao Bei's mother, Zhang Wangshi, thought about what had happened in the past and the current situation. She analyzed the situation and said to Xiao Bei. Xiao Bei nodded repeatedly, "That's right. Don't just sit in the yamen all day. It's better to go out and walk around. A real local official should be a qualified farmer when he sees the land. When he sees the business, he should be a qualified merchant. When he sees the tools, he should be able to make them even without being asked. At the very least, he should know the principles of how to make and use tools. This way, he can truly be a good local official for the people and not just stay in the yamen all day. I have decided. When I return, I will discuss with Uncle Emperor and let him tell us about the investigation by the Ministry of Appointments. Don't just focus on how much taxes the local officials paid this year. Sometimes, it is best to exempt the taxes and give the people a chance to develop and save. Exempt them from paying taxes for 2 years. Maybe the amount of money in the local government's treasury is too little for the people to see. But after 2 years, the people will use the tax-free money to buy good tools or do business and develop. Then, the local government will naturally have money. When Zhang family heard her daughter's thorough analysis, the smile on her face became brighter. Which other family's child would know so much at such a young age? Other than Xiao Bao and Cuckoo, it seemed that she had never seen anyone like that before. Xiao Yuan, you say something too. When Xiao Yuan's mother saw that Xiao Bei spoke well, she immediately asked her son to show off. Xiao Yuan was very helpless. What's there to say? It's just that some officials always want to be promoted. For example, Sanshui County's revenue doubled this year. Then, when the Ministry of Appointments evaluated him, they gave him a high grade and he was promoted. Hence, the second official who came to Sanshui County saw that it was actually so easy to be promoted. Alright, he started to sell the things in the county. For example, there was a piece of land. He sold it at a low price. The land was originally worth 10,000 strings of coins, but he sold it for 5,000 strings of coins. Then, he waited. When it was about to be evaluated, he casually made an account and turned the 2,000 strings of coins into the local government's revenue. However, he did not write that piece of land. Instead, he made a special evaluation and turned a good piece of land into a waste field. The account said that he sold it for 1,000 strings of coins. In this way, the Ministry of Appointments evaluated that Sanshui County's revenue increased this year, and the new county magistrate was also promoted. In this way, groups of county magistrates thought of ways to sell the things in the county, just to create the illusion of an increase in revenue. In fact, every promotion of an official will cause a lot of harm to the people of Sanshui County. When the people can't bear it anymore, Sanshui County will no longer be a high-grade county, but a low-grade county. Yes. That's right. Mother feels that it makes sense. Then you can tell Her Majesty that in the future, it's not about how much revenue a place has, but also the degree of consumption of local resources. Whichever official consumes the least amount of local resources and earns the most income, that official will be evaluated as high grade. Xiao Yuan's mother patted Xiao Yuan's head and praised him. Then, she also analyzed. Lu Feifei kept nodding and said, "That's right. Because of this year's flood, Hongnong County was exempted from taxes for 2 years. My father said that in these 2 years, we can save a lot of money and use it to fill up the depression in front of us. This way, we will have more land to plant willow trees. When the willow trees grow, the forest will be worth a lot of money. My father is also preparing to set up a school in the village, the Willow Weaving School. It will teach people who are willing to learn willow weaving. At the same time, the people in the village can continue to think about how to weave willow branches into more beautiful things. Willow weaving is not only a tool to be used, but also to become an art, right? In that case, your willow weaving in Old Willow Village can become a pillar industry in Hongnong County." Xiao Bei took over the conversation. "Yes." Lu Feifei looked at the willow trees by the roadside and smiled happily. She said, "That's it. But if we don't get rid of the tax for the next 2 years, we have to borrow money. We need all the people in the village to pool their money to buy that large piece of low-lying land. It's like what you said just now. As an official, don't always look at the little benefits in front of you. Give the people time to accumulate, and then the people will repay the government with more taxes. It's like a chicken laying eggs. If you look at the benefits in front of you, you will eat the eggs directly. For the future, you will keep the eggs to hatch chicks. When there are more chickens, there will naturally be more eggs." "Ah, Sister Feifei is so right. I want to tell Uncle Emperor to give you a reward. Let's endure it first, eat less eggs, and raise more chickens. Uncle Emperor has so much money, why do you keep it in the bank? It's better to raise chickens, so that we can eat more eggs in the future." Xiao Bei's eyes were shining. He couldn't wait to fly back to the capital and tell Uncle Emperor about what he saw and heard today. Lu Feifei was embarrassed by Xiao Bei's praise. She lowered her head and said in a low voice, "I'm just chatting with you. There's no reward." "Yes, chatting is different from chatting. When we chat, we can know a lot of important things in the Tang Empire directly. Because I can find Uncle Emperor, as long as I say something, Uncle Emperor will accept it. I'll think about it and ask Uncle Emperor to give you an official title. First, you will be a small official. When you learn more, I will give you an official with real power. Otherwise, if you do something wrong at the beginning, it will cause losses. Yes, just do it. Anyway, Uncle Emperor has a lot of officials." When Xiao Bei was talking, he decided to give Lu Feifei an official title. As for what it was and what grade it was, Xiao Bei didn't know now. He had to see Uncle Emperor to ask clearly. Lu Feifei was shocked. At the same time, she couldn't believe that she was going to be an official. She was still a child, so she became nervous at once. I don't know how to be an official. I don't know anything. Xiao Bei, I'm scared. Don't let me be an official, okay? If you don't know how to be an official, you can be an official. I guess some officials are worse than you. They only know how to take the imperial examinations. When it comes to practical work, they are confused and leave it to others. Anyone can be an official like this. Listen to me. If you don't know how to do it, I'll teach you. If you don't know how to do it, you can ask my brother and sister." Xiao Bei continued to persuade her. Lu Feifei didn't refuse this time. Instead, she opened her eyes wide and looked at the things outside moving in the opposite direction as the carriage moved. She was imagining what she would do when she became an official in the future. Lu Feifei didn't wake up from her fantasy until she heard all kinds of noises coming from the market in front of Old Willow Village. She smiled and said, "If I become an official, I will fix the market first. At least, I will fix the drainage ditch. I can't pour water on the ground casually. Yes, I will do such a small thing first. I don't know how to do big things. Chapter 999. Lu Feifei was very practical. She didn't plan to do anything big. She just wanted to solve some small problems. In fact, she knew that the ditch was not difficult to dig. She could dig it out quickly with a shovel and pick and then lead it to the river. The difficult part was how to make everyone obey. Without an official, there was nothing she could do if they didn't listen. Xiao Bei blinked and came up with an idea. Sister Feifei, you tell them that if they don't obey, we won't sell willow weaves to them. Nonsense. Xiao Yuan retorted. Do you want to control people by the city? You don't teach people to be virtuous but use money to command? Why don't you publicize the dangers of messy things? Or you just stand out and see who dares to disobey? If we directly order the guards to arrest them, the censorate won't dare to impeach us, right? Mother is here. Don't scold me. Xiao Bei looked at Xiao Yuan with his big eyes. Just as Xiao Yuan was about to speak, his mother scolded him. Don't scold Xiao Bei. If you have an idea, just say it. I say just give her an official. We can make our own official seal and official uniform. But the imperial seal can't be copied. We can make it up later. We can just say yes. They won't ask. Xiao Yuan felt that he had no status and said in a fit of pique. Xiao Bei smiled at Xiao Yuan. Then listened to Xiao Yuan. Let's do it first. We can also make the imperial seal. I'll send a message right away and ask Uncle Emperor for authorization. Yes, we can't wait to go back to the capital. Someone, send a signal to my brother in the capital. Tell my brother to ask for authorization from Uncle Emperor. I want to ask for an official position for Sister Feifei. I don't know what kind of position it should be, but it has to be one who can manage the area around Old Willow Village. Rank 7. Send it there as fast as you can. Xiao Bei shouted outside and said to the servant girl in the inner courtyard in the car, let's make the clothes first. Once the message comes, our clothes will be ready. Show the efficiency of our family. Now they were busy. Xiao Bei and his people didn't get off the car. They could see the market from afar. The team stopped and the cook started to cook. The tailor was measuring Lu Feifei's size. The person in charge of the radio adjusted the frequency and took the most urgent route. Xiao Hai got out of the car and stood outside to look at the market with a pair of binoculars. After thinking for a while, he said, raise our flag. We're already here. There's no need to keep a low profile. Immediately, someone began to raise the flag. Along the way, they did not hang any signs. From a distance, they could not see the embroidered pattern in front of everyone's chests. It was impossible to guess who made up this vast and mighty team. The main thing was that he was afraid that when he passed by Hong Nong, the officials inside would hear the news and stop working and run out to welcome him. The people in the market also saw the long line of people coming over. Just as they were wondering which large caravan it was, a large flag with 9 rice seedlings surrounding a bonfire floated up. The bustling market instantly fell silent. These banners were far too familiar. They were unique to the Great Tang, and it was very easy to tell which banners represented whom. They're here, they're here. Xiao Bei and the others are here. A child from Old Willow Village was picking candy in the market. After seeing the flag, he gave up on the candy and the money. He ran toward the bridge with both arms and shouted at the top of his lungs. The candy seller looked at the money and then looked at the candy. He said to a dough maker next to him, help me take a look. I'll send the candy over. Don't let people think that I took his money for nothing. A person selling liangpi carefully kicked a cucumber but that had just been thrown to the ground to the back of the cart. A person selling cabbages that had been stored for winter also picked and put the best-looking cabbages neatly in front of him. The people in the market stopped shouting. The shoppers stood motionless, and the sellers began to clean up. No one asked them to do so, but they felt that it should be so. Then, the crowd waited. When the team came over, no one went forward to welcome them. Until the villager of Old Willow Village led a group of people across the bridge, the market remained silent. The villager looked around and said to the people behind him, "Wait here. I'll go." After saying that, the old man tidied his clothes, raised his head and puffed out his chest, and walked unhurriedly toward the team. Xiao Bei and the others were ready to eat. They asked the chef to make a lot of food. There were already more than 1,500 people in their team, so they might as well make more. They even brought along the people from Old Willow Village and the people in the market. The flags that were raised did not belong to the two mistresses of the family. Xiao Bei and the others did not want others to know that their mother had followed them. At this moment, she was waiting for news from the capital. She was still using her family's intelligence network. The speed of transmission was slow in her opinion. Her brother and sister had said that there was a place where no matter how far away it was, if one side wanted to talk to the other side, it would be done in the blink of an eye. The villager of Old Willow Village, Old Man Lu, moved over. The people in the team were doing their own things. Only a maidservant came over. "Third Grandpa, why did you come personally?" The young ladies and young masters said that they would invite you when the meal was ready. Hearing the maidservant's words, a smile appeared on the old man's face. Regardless of whether the maidservant would really invite him, the words coming from the maidservant's mouth made him feel comfortable. "It's not like I can't walk." "Ah, where are Xiao Bei and the others? Take me to see them. In the blink of an eye, it should be half a year. Let me see how much taller they have grown." The old man's eyes looked at the biggest carriage in the middle. The maidservant came over to help him walk there. When they were 20 steps away from the carriage, someone had already told the people in the carriage the news of the village chief's arrival. Xiao Bei was the first to push open the door and jump out. She opened her arms and ran to the old man's side. She grabbed the old man's clothes with both hands and said happily, "Third Grandpa, I'm here again. Did you miss me?" Old Man Lu was overjoyed. He picked Xiao Bei up and kissed her hard. He said, "Yes, yes. Even if I didn't miss myself, I would still miss you guys. You're really heavy. We missed Third Grandpa too. When we came, Sister Feifei said that every family in our village had built a house. I wished I could grow a pair of wings and fly to that place so that I could see it earlier. I know that if Third Grandpa was not the village chief, it would take at least half a year to build a house." Xiao Bei hugged Old Man Lu's neck with one hand and said, "Your little mouth is as sweet as honey. Ha 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 ha." Old Man Lu finally knew why the current emperor doted on Xiao Bei and the others so much. Apart from her brother and sister being powerful, she herself was not bad. She was pretty and had a sweet mouth. She gave people the feeling that she was his own daughter. Xiao Bei also laughed and said, "Third Grandpa, you can choose today. What do you want to eat? I'll ask someone to make it for you. We have to have the ingredients we brought." At this time, the other 8 children also ran over. Li Jun and his sister Pan also followed outside and looked around curiously. The mistresses of the two families also came down one after another. Old Man Lu immediately put Xiao Bei down and walked a few steps forward. He was about to salute them when Zhang Wang clan reached out and stopped him. "Uncle Lu, there's no need to be so polite. We just came to take a look." When Old Man Lu saw that the two of them were wearing ordinary clothes and heard what they said, he didn't pretend to be polite. He nodded and said, "Okay, I'll ask someone to take out the good things stored in the village and ask the chef to make them. Let's all have a taste." Xiao Bei said, "Okay, okay. I like to eat the willow mushrooms in our village the most." "That's good. Quick, measure my third grandpa and make 2 sets of clothes. Your Majesty, don't you want to rest? A day has passed and it's already noon." Don't even think about tax exemption. Zhang Xiaobao, who had just woken up after sleeping for 4 hours, saw that Li Longji was still staring blankly in a certain direction. He knew that Li Longji was definitely not concerned about the war. According to this schedule, if they wanted to fight, they would have to wait for another 2 days. However, they couldn't shorten the 1 versus 4 time limit. Otherwise, when the people below started to fight, they wouldn't be able to command them. Therefore, they could only wait. It wasn't much different from a real battle. The only difference was that they didn't have to rush to the battlefield. Li Longji rubbed his eyes and said, I slept for a while last night and didn't think about tax exemption. Xiao Bei and the others don't need to mention tax exemption for 3 years. Even if they want a piece of land, I'll give it to them. You and Cuckoo helped me build up my empire. My empire is so big, why would I lack the tax of a piece of land? I was just thinking, if my great Tang was as powerful as that country, would we be able to wipe out all those people? Also, those who like to fight will definitely die. I see that you and Cuckoo aren't worried about this at all. Why? Zhang Xiaobao understood. Li Longji was so bored that he started to think about deeper things. He picked up a cup of cold tea and rinsed his mouth before he replied, Your Majesty, the first question is it really possible? What if that country lives on the same sea and land as us and waits for us to develop? They didn't destroy us first. In the end, either they don't fight, or even if they do, it'll be a local war. Whoever forces the other into a corner will be doomed. It's said that they're researching a weapon, but they haven't succeeded yet. I don't think they'll succeed in the next 100 years. What weapon? Li Longji was afraid to hear the word weapon. He remembered that there was a cannon that could fly from Luzhou to the capital. It's a very powerful weapon. For example, the Hunan province. If you throw one of those weapons, it'll be gone. No one can go there for a few years. Otherwise, they'll either die or fall seriously ill. Zhang Xiaobao revealed something else to Li Longji. Li Longji's breathing quickened. He picked up a cup of herbal tea from the small table and took a sip. He was still thirsty, so he drank it all. There was still a tea leaf in his mouth. How are they going to deliver it? Li Longji asked. Do you see the sky-cracker monkeys and the disposable rocket launchers used by our army? Make a big one and put that thing on it. In theory, it'll fire wherever you point it at. It can fly very far. However, we haven't made a big sky-cracker monkey yet. It's very difficult. Zhang Xiaobao continued to lie. Can you intercept it? Li Longji knew about this. Yes. In theory, we can intercept it. Then, think of a way to stop it. If Great Tang has that kind of weapon, and there are enough of them, if someone wants to destroy Great Tang, they'll only die. I don't even attack my enemy's country. If I attack my own country, who can they stop me? Suicide? Mutual destruction. If there are enough of them, we'll detonate them all at once. No matter where they are, as long as they're standing on this land and the sky above them, they'll die with us. As for Your Majesty's second question, it's very simple. A warmonger is a sure way to die. The first question is that war is a war of population and resources. If you keep fighting, your country won't be able to develop. The second question is that in the end, all the countries in the world will oppose you. Your Majesty, you don't have to worry about the first question. I'll control it well. I'll plunder as I fight. The second question will depend on the method used. In war, it's not necessary to use cannons. There are many methods we can use, such as using 2 peaches to kill 3 soldiers or driving a tiger to devour a wolf. Zhang Xiaobao wasn't worried at all. At the very least, he wouldn't use nuclear weapons while he was still alive. As for whether he could make it, that would depend on the speed of technological development. He didn't care about the second question either. In this world, the current Great Tang could be defeated unless something unexpected happened, such as an earthquake, a typhoon, or continuous rain or snow. Li Longji thought about it for a moment before nodding. If that's the case, I'm relieved. You guys can continue fighting and try to minimize the casualties. I'll take out money and have the commoners give birth to more children. The more children they give birth to, the more I'll reward them. I'll help them raise their children. When there are too many and I can't afford to raise them anymore, I'll have them raise them themselves. Li Longji was relieved. Just as he was about to talk to Zhang Xiaobao about something else, a person suddenly ran in from outside. He was dressed in the attire of the inner courtyard of the Zhang Xiaobao and Wang clan. Little young master, little Miss Xiaobei has sent a message. Please take a look. The person passed a telegram over. Wang Wan took the telegram and glanced at it before passing it to Zhang Xiaobao. Zhang Xiaobao also glanced at it before passing it to Li Longji. For me? Li Longji took the telegram and glanced at it in bewilderment. He wants an official from me, and he even wants a rank 7 official to manage a village. Xiaobao, do you know how big a village needs a rank 7 official to manage? Li Longji asked Zhang Xiaobao with a smile. Zhang Xiaobao also laughed. A county magistrate is a rank 7 official, while a village chief is not even considered a rank 7 official. How can a village chief be a rank 7 official? Your Majesty, how about this? Xiaobei wants a rank 7 official. Can you give it to her? Zhang Xiaobao looked at Li Longji and asked. Yes, but rank 7 official authority can only be arranged to be in the government over there. Hongnong is not an ordinary county, and the county magistrate is not a rank 7 official. Otherwise, would not have sent Xiaobei and the rest out in a fit of anger. Lu Feifei is only in her teens and is still studying in school. She can't be as capable as you and Cuckoo, right? How can I arrange real authority for her? Tell me about your sister's request. Li Longji did not care about a rank 7 official. However, it was hard to find a rank 7 official, and there were none. If he had to arrange for Hongnong to be the registrar, would Lu Feifei be suitable? Zhang Xiaobao was also in a dilemma. This sister of his, it was not easy to get an official position. At this time, Wang Wan said, Xiaobao, why don't we put her in charge of the agriculture temple? Old Willow Village has a lot of willow trees, and there is empty space around it. We can plant willow trees there. Let the agriculture temple come up with a plan, and Lu Feifei can be the messenger. With willow trees as station guards, we will have a rank 7 official. Li Longji clapped his hands. That's right. Lu Feifei, go and be station guard Lu. You will be directly under the agriculture temple. You will help to study the characteristics and use of various willow trees, and also the mutual promotion and suppression of other species. Rank 7 official. Come, Xiaobao, call your people here and use your family's intelligence network. Propose that Lu Feifei of Old Willow Village, Hongnong County, Guizhou, Hunan Province, Old Willow Village, Hongnong County, Guizhou, Hunan Province, Lu Feifei will be station guard Lu under the agriculture temple. All matters will be delegated by the agriculture temple, rank 7 official. The other side will send a telegram to the various levels, and the capital will send a document over. At that time, it will be really confirmed, and it will be recorded in the Ministry of Personnel and the Agriculture Temple. The local yamen will not care. They are directly under the Agriculture Temple, and under the direct control of the central government. Although the rank is not high, and the position is not high, the power is great. They can go directly to the capital if they have something to do. Why don't other local officials have a try? When the news reached Xiaobei's team in Old Willow Village, the food had just been prepared. Xiaobei asked people in the village and the people in the market to eat together. It was lively. Lu Feifei's mood was not stable, and she was always absent-minded. When others talked to her, she would suddenly wake up. Old man Lu looked at her and found that something was wrong. He pulled Lu Feifei over and asked, Feifei, what's wrong with you? Are you still thinking about your brother? No. Lu Feifei shook her head. Xiao Bei said that the other side has arranged everything. I am, Sister Feifei is afraid that I can't get the position she asked for. Don't worry, Uncle Emperor will give it to her. It is just a 7th grade official with real power, and it is not a big deal. If he really doesn't give it to me, I will resign from my patrol and retire to my hometown. Xiao Bei could think the same as Lu Feifei, and comforted her loudly. When the people heard her say that she would retire to her hometown, they laughed heartily. How old was she? She was already a skeleton. But as soon as they laughed, they suddenly realized what she said before. Wasn't it just a 7th grade official with real power? Now they could not laugh. If a 7th grade official with real power was not a big deal, what would be considered a big deal? Old Man Lu's reaction was the most direct. He jumped up and looked at Xiao Bei in disbelief, asking in a trembling voice, Xiao Bei, did you really ask for a 7th grade official for Feifei? Yes, a 7th grade official, and it has to be able to manage things. An 8th grade official does not sound good. A 6th grade official can be the county magistrate of Hongnong. It is not easy for me to ask Uncle Emperor to do something for me. Later, Uncle Emperor may not ask me to do anything. No matter how low the official position is, I will compensate for it. Xiao Bei explained very seriously why it was a 7th grade official instead of a 6th grade official or an 8th grade official. As soon as he finished speaking, the team's radio station received the appointment, and the person in charge came over to whisper to Xiao Bei. Well, Uncle Emperor scolded me. He said that next time when I ask for an official position, should pay attention to the place and the grade. Don't ask for one that doesn't exist. Isn't this cheating? Congratulations, Sister Feifei. From now on, you are Station Supervisor Lu under the jurisdiction of the Agriculture Temple in Old Willow Village, Hongnong County, Guizhou, Hunan Province. You are a 7th grade official. Come, give something to Sister Feifei. Xiao Bei shook his head and clapped his hands to congratulate her. The family took Lu Feifei to the carriage. When Lu Feifei came out again, her clothes were changed. It was a green robe with a small flower on it. If one smelled it carefully, one could smell the smell of cloth. A group of people had just rushed out and had not rinsed it yet. Lu Feifei also held a small official's seal in her hand. It was carved out of jade and had not been inlaid with copper, but it was still too much. The official document will be issued in the future. Now, Sister Feifei, you are an official. You can use your seal for now. Don't think about whether it's beyond the limit. It's Uncle Emperor's fault for not giving it to you. If someone asks, you can tell them that it's an ordinary stone. That means you don't recognize it as jade. I'll also give you a silver fish pouch. Xiao Bei knew everything, but he insisted on teaching Lu Feifei to play dumb. Chapter 1000. Lu Feifei didn't know how to express herself. She could only listen to Xiao Bei and nod her head. She had a lot of thoughts in her mind. This was an official. Her brother was bullied by an official when he was selling dolls in Jiangzhou. Perhaps the official who bullied her brother wasn't even a level 7 official. A level 7 official was already a county magistrate. With an official position, he could do whatever he wanted. If he wanted people to build drains, he could do so. If he wanted people to plant willows, he could do so. If he wanted people to plant willows, he could plant willows. If he wanted to plant any species, he would have to ask the experts in the village. Xiao Bei, don't worry. I'll do my best. If you don't know how to do it, you can ask Third Grandpa first. Our group is rich, and I'll get a lot of money in the future. I promise that I won't be greedy when I become the supervisor. If I use my power for personal gain. Bring me your head. We're sisters, so I'll give you a quick death. Speaking of this, Xiao Bei seemed to be a different person. I asked Uncle Emperor for an official position because I want to use his favor for personal gain. But since I want Old Willow Village to develop well, and I can't guard it myself, I can only arrange it for you. If you do something wrong, I won't say that the world is righteous. I'll only say that for Uncle Emperor's trust, even if you don't deserve to die, I'll impeach you. You know that all the officials we impeach are innocent and have 5 grades. So, Sister Feifei, if you need anything, tell me first. We'll help you think of a way. You can't do it secretly. Lu Feifei didn't think that Xiao Bei was wrong at all. She still nodded. I know. When you investigate officials, you'll have the help of your family's intelligence network. So, you can't be wrong. I won't learn from Yan Zheng. I heard that he's still alive and is on the street outside the palace. At most, yes. If I can't make a decision in the future, I'll ask Third Grandpa. If Third Grandpa can't make a decision, he'll ask you. If you can't make a decision, you can ask Brother Xiao Bao and Sister Cuckoo. Can they do it? That's right. My brother and sister are very capable. Uncle Emperor and the civil and military officials have to ask my brother and sister for help when they can't figure it out. When Xiao Bei heard others mention her brother and sister, she immediately became proud. When the two of them talked, they did not avoid the people around them. The people in the village and the people in the market listened and watched. They found that they could not find Xiao Bei even if they wanted to. This was because they discovered that Xiao Bei was very calm. She did not mention the righteousness of the world, nor did she talk about the morality of the past and present. They only thought that she had selfish motives. She liked Old Willow Village, so she used her connections to directly ask for an official position from the current dynasty's emperor. If she said it was a 7th rank, then it was a 7th rank. If she said it was a real position, then it was a real position. They didn't fear her authority, but they couldn't accuse her of having bad intentions. Moreover, she was so cute and beautiful, and she was also the little sister of Xiao Bao and Cuckoo. Not far away, Xiao Hai stood up. He was relatively calm. He held his sister's shoulder and said to the surrounding people, "There are rules in every trade, and every country has its laws. Even if you are a thief, you are not allowed to rob if you can't steal. Those who sell things, don't play dirty tricks, such as pouring water into the meat. You should earn the money you earn, but when you shouldn't, don't let me see it. Who dares?" A butcher continued Xiao Hai's words. His voice was very loud. It was not that he was not afraid, but he found that the 9 children were very reasonable. Therefore, he gathered his courage and said what he wanted to say. "The pork that I, Ding Yidao, sell are all pigs that I carefully selected. Those who buy my meat know that when the pigs are driven by me, they are so hungry that they are crying out. Pour water? Even if they want to drink, I won't let them drink, right?" The person who called himself Ding Yidao shouted to the side. Those who had bought meat in the surroundings also shouted, "Yes." Xiao Hai ignored him. His character had always been like this. He turned around and walked to his mother's side. Xiao Yuan was more easygoing and always took the blame. He stood up and agreed with the other party. "Yidao, I think it's a knife in and a knife out. His skills are good." Ding Yidao didn't care about Xiao Hai's attitude. He didn't mention Xiao Hai's identity and only said that he was a businessman. He had encountered many buyers who were difficult to talk to, so he was already used to it. However, when Xiao Yuan praised him, he was happy. Although he was a butcher, his mind was still alive. He knew that when Xiao Yuan praised him and he worked hard, Ding Yidao's title would be set. There was no need for the emperor to praise him. As long as one of the 9 people praised him, he would be able to stand in the Tang Empire. After all, Xiao Bei casually asked for a 7th rank official. Thinking of this, Ding Yidao turned around and ran. His legs moved so fast that he almost knocked the 2 people down. Just as Xiao Yuan was wondering why he was running away, Ding Yidao came back, dragging a fat pig that looked like it weighed about 200 pounds. "There's still one alive. I'll kill it for you. If I can't kill it with one knife, I'll bite it to death." As Ding Yidao spoke, he took out a 2-foot-long knife from his waist. It was a narrow knife, not a chopper. The knives used to kill pigs were different from those used to cut meat and bones. He didn't dare to hold the knife to Xiao Yuan to show that he was not aggressive. If he held it like that, his hand would definitely be broken. Instead, he bit the back of the knife with his teeth, put his hands behind his back, and looked at Xiao Yuan. Stand down. A person stood out from behind Xiao Yuan. It was Zhang Chang. He asked the two fast gunmen to step back and said to Ding Yidao, "Where's the blood basin? I'll help you with the blood. Don't waste it. Some people like to eat blood tofu." Ding Yidao was stunned for a moment. Because he was trusted, his eyes turned red. Tears welled up in his eyes. He spat the knife on the ground, turned around, and ran again. When he came back, he held a basin with blood inside. He shook it vigorously and handed it to Zhang Chang. "Walk east from here. About 15 to 6 Li Ding village is my home. My name is Ding De Sha. The people standing here know me. I have a father and a mother. My wife is also from my village. I also have 2 children. Dewa is 5 years old and Erwa is 3 years old." Ding Yidao picked up the knife and rubbed it twice on the 3 layers of pig skin belt that reached his thigh. Xiao Bei smiled and said, "Well, I can tell that your skills are good from the way you wipe the knife. Sister Feifei, in the future, if you want to buy good meat, you can go to his village and ask him to choose good meat for you. If he doesn't choose good meat, he won't pay." The originally tense atmosphere eased up after Xiao Bei's words. Zhang Chang didn't hesitate. He carried the basin to the pig. The pig found that the situation was not right. He didn't move. Ding Yidao didn't stop. He held the handle of the knife and pulled the pig's ear. When the pig raised its head and struggled, his right hand suddenly stabbed the pig's lower left neck. "Ow!" The pig cried out miserably. Ding Yidao flipped his wrist half a circle and threw the knife to the side. He rode on top of the tied-up pig, whose 4 hooves were lying on the ground. His right arm wrapped around the pig's neck, while his left hand pulled on his right hand and tried to lift the pig's head up. The pig's blood splashed into the basin that Zhang Chang was holding. Zhang Chang said that he wanted to get the pig's blood, but he couldn't free his hands. It was Xiao Yuan, who hated blood the most, who grabbed the chopsticks and mixed it with the water mixed with wine. The blood foam had piled up to an inch high in the basin, and the blood below could hardly be seen. The strangled pig reflexively struggled a few more times, but in the end, it stopped moving. Zhang Chang had a hard time holding on to half a basin full of blood. He sat on the ground and gritted his teeth. "Okay, remove the pig's hair." Ding Yidao loosened his hand and shouted to the people next to him. A person who looked like his disciple took the pig and pulled it to the side. "It's so fishy." Xiao Bei came over and sniffed. She looked scared. "It's too cruel. I'm afraid of seeing blood. The pig is so pitiful." Xiao Yuan, who was splashed with blood, threw away the chopsticks. "Okay, don't pretend. Are you afraid of pig's blood? Haven't you seen human blood? Ding Yidao is really a knife." The pig only struggled twice. Unfortunately, its heart was broken. How can it be the same? I eat pigs, not humans. When I eat pigs, I think of the scene when I kill pigs. I'm the most soft-hearted, right? Xiao Bei seemed to be saying to Xiao Yuan, but also seemed to be calling on the people around to support her. However, no one said anything because they all thought of Yan Zheng. After almost 3 seconds, the people in the inner courtyard near the Zhang Chang and Wang families suddenly shouted, "Yes." See, many people agree. Regardless of whether it's true or not, I'm happy to hear it. Xiao Bei said with a smile. She didn't have high expectations. Of course, the happiest person was Ding Yidao. The 3 treasures of the Zhang Chang and Wang families were so close to him just now and even helped him. He had to brag about this trust when he returned to the village. He would brag about it every day, and for a year, others would crowd around him to listen. Lu Feifei, who had just become a shangguan, saw that the killing was over. She carefully came over and looked at the blood in the basin. She asked puzzledly, "Can't we just cut the blood vessels? There's no need to use such a long knife." Ding Yidao rubbed his hands on his body and answered, "Okay, but pigs live a long life. When we kill animals, we pay particular attention to one cut. We kill as fast as we can. One cut to kill a chicken, one cut to kill a pig, one cut to kill a cow, one cut to kill a cow, one cut to kill a chicken, one cut to kill a pig, one cut to kill a cow." Lu Feifei nodded in understanding. She looked at the blood on the ground and where Ding Yidao's disciple was. She pursed her lips and worried. Ding Yidao's disciple was there to remove the pig's hair. There was a stove made of mud and a big pot boiling water. The dead pig was placed on a wooden board. Ding Yidao's disciple was splashing hot water on it while removing the hair. His movements were skillful and fast. Someone was standing nearby. It seemed that he wanted to buy a piece of meat after he was done. He didn't think about the taste first. He only thought about the fact that it was Zhang Cheng's children who helped to kill it. Ding Yidao followed Lu Feifei's gaze and found this matter. He shouted, "Don't wait. I'm not selling. I'll give it to Old Willow Village. I'll let the officials divide it. What do you think, Official Lu?" Ding Yidao's joking words didn't make Lu Feifei laugh. She looked at the water on the ground and shook her head. "This won't do." "Why not?" "I don't need a pig." Ding Yidao said generously. "It's not a pig. I want a pig. It's the blood from killing the pig and the dirty water from cleaning the pig. After a few days, it will be warm. Won't it be full of flies? There are also the vegetable leaves and fish intestines from the market." Previously, I told Xiaobei that we should dig a drain and flush it into the river. Now it seems that it won't work. The blood and the fishy smell can't be washed away. Third grandfather, what should we do? Lu Feifei became an official and began to exercise her power. She had the right to decide, but she couldn't do anything. She could only ask the village chief, who was also the village chief. Old man Lu had been in a special state of excitement ever since he saw that the little girl in his family had become an official. The Lu family of Old Willow Village had first produced him, a person who could get money from the government every year, and now they had produced a 7th-rank official. There were many children who did business with Xiaobei. If he died, he would have something to say to his ancestors. When he returned, he would take to the ancestral house to worship the ancestors. Fei's branch would also be promoted. While he was thinking, Lu Feifei had asked him twice. She touched him again, and he came back to his senses. After listening to her again, he waved his hand generously. "It's okay. Just throw it away. The market will disperse and go to the river. What's there to be afraid of? They won't kill people. Why won't people die? I learned in school that flies will make people sick. Even if they don't die from the bite, they will die from the illness. It can't be like this. I'd rather not go to the market." Lu Feifei became a senior official, and her temper became worse. Xiaobei listened to them and was also worried. She was not worried about the market in Old Willow Village. She had a way to deal with the problem of a village. She was worried that there were many villages in Tang like this, and many people had the same idea as third grandpa. Lu Feifei said that she did not want to go to the market. Xiaobei walked to her side and pulled her arm. "It's easy. I'll ask people to build a big methane pool. Throw the dirty things in, but don't throw the wood. It's just like the one in Old Willow Village. Xinjiang Construction should have built it for us, right? It has been built, but it hasn't been used yet. We have to wait for the first thing to turn into gas. Then, who will take care of it after it's built? We have to allocate some people to collect the methane pool. Then we can't work and earn less money." Lu Feifei said a very practical problem. "You're right." Xiaobei also thought of this problem after hearing Lu Feifei's words. It was not good to rely on the people who sold things. There had to be specialized people to do it. However, this kind of market did not collect taxes. If you charged them 1 coin per month as management fee, they would not accept it. Wait. It's time to eat. Let's eat first. I'll discuss it with them. Xiao Bei first asked people to distribute the food one by one. After greeting herself and Xiao Yuan's mother, she asked the maids to serve them. She asked Xiao Yuan and the other 8 people to sit together. They did not want to be disturbed. They discussed things while eating. Xiao Yuan and the other 8 people had been used to the meeting. They gathered together and whispered, not in the mood to eat. Those who were invited to eat ate quickly. After a quarter, many people finished eating and went back to where they were supposed to be. The people who sold things in the market cleaned up consciously. Lu Feifei had just said this, so they could not go against her. At this time, the group of 9 people finished their discussion. Xiao Bei hurriedly finished half a bowl of rice and came to Lu Feifei's table. She said with a smile, "Well, the problem is solved." Lu Feifei's table was full of important people with the surname Lu in Old Willow Village. Old Lu, as the patriarch, sat in the north and faced the south. It was the main seat. Lu Feifei sat in the first seat on the left. From today on, her status changed. The people around the table were all sitting on folding stools to eat. When they saw Xiao Bei coming, they all stood up. Lu Feifei went to the front, held Xiao Bei's hand and asked happily, "What should we do?" "Find a person in charge of our village and pay him a salary every month. As for the money, let the Sanongxi temple pay for it, or let the people who sell things do it. What do you think? Awesome, right?" Xiao Bei showed a look of, "I am awesome." Lu Feifei smacked her lips and shook her head gently. Why should the Sanongxi temple pay for it? The people who sell things are even more unwilling to pay. Let's talk about the people who sell things first. There are people who sell soup pancakes in the market, right? There are people who sell tea, pancakes, fruits and other things. Even if they want to kill a pig, they have to shed its hair. They bring firewood to burn. It takes time to pick up the firewood. They can use this time to do other things, such as buying firewood, which is also expensive. Let's do it like this outside our village. In the market next to the Hongnong amusement park, there can be a night market at night. Whoever lights it with methane will pay. Xiao Bei stretched out a finger and said while shaking it. Not only Lu Feifei, but also the people who heard it nodded to show their agreement. Secondly, why should the Sanongxi temple pay? Because they need to try planting all kinds of seeds in various places. They can't ask people to bring fertilizer from the capital. If they use the fertilizer in our methane pool, we will charge them. The Sanongxi temple will research good seeds suitable for local planting and sell them to the farmers. The farmers will increase their food supply and earn more money. Isn't this a good idea? When Xiao Bei mentioned the second point, the number of fingers on his finger increased from 1 to 2. The people who heard it were all stunned. It should have been a difficult problem to deal with, but after hearing Xiao Bei's words, they felt it was a good deal. Xiao Bei, you are so awesome. Do you want to do this in all places in the Tang Empire? You have to tell His Majesty first. Lu Feifei jumped happily and looked at Xiao Bei with admiration in her eyes. Xiao Bei was very embarrassed. He waved his hand and said, "What's so great about it? I was just bragging. When we discussed it just now, we found that there were many problems. There were problems with the specific construction, management, rules, laws, and follow-up development. Anyway, you know there are many problems. We can't figure them out. Later, we will send a message back to the capital and ask my brother and sister. I will pay to build the methane pool in the market of our village." Everyone was stunned by Xiao Bei's words. It was just building a methane pool. Why did it become so troublesome in Xiao Bei's words? Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan also felt it was troublesome. Xiao Bei sent the message to them. When they saw what was written on the paper, they immediately had a headache. This is a system of independent departments, and at the same time, there must be contact with other departments. Who will pay for the methane pool? How to recover the cost? How to calculate the extra profit after paying the management staff? Who will be responsible for collecting the money? This alone is a special arrangement, not to mention other problems. Zhang Xiaobao had never thought that so many things would happen when his younger brother and sister went out. Wang Wan snatched the paper and gestured for Zhang Xiaobao to look at the sand table. There's no need for us to think about it ourselves. Let them worry about it first. Come and look at the sand table. Where is the main force of the enemy's vanguard? Zhang Xiaobao looked at the model left behind by the last message from his side. He really wanted to get a sand table of the enemy and compare the two. That would make things easier. If it's not in the south, then it's in the north. In any case, it can't be in the middle. The fire is still burning. Zhang Xiaobao said. Around the same time, Zhang Shogui said the same thing as Zhang Xiaobao. However, there was someone called Wang Yi who said something different. My camp is still lying in ambush within the forest fire region. I request for the referee group to show me the detailed data of the forest fire within our field of vision in theory. My camp still has people there. Chapter 1001. Wang Wan was also looking at the sand table. At this time, her Central Army model had already arrived near Mount Huangshan. She frowned slightly and remained motionless in thought. Li Longji and his group were still in her room. After arriving, Li Longji did not want to leave. He had sent over a few official documents, all of which were handed over to Gao Lishur for approval. In his words, it was, "Don't bother me with small matters. You can discuss the important matters with your son and daughter-in-law." Zhang Xiaobao also did not bother with his sister's matter. This kind of problem involved an entire department, so it was impossible to casually come up with a solution. As for his younger siblings carrying out their plan in Old Willow Village, he would let them do it. If they did well, he would summarize his experience and see if he could replicate it in other places. If they did not do well, at most they would lose some money. For this small amount of money, it would be enough if his younger siblings ate one less abalone or one less bowl of shark's fin. At this time, Zhang Xiaobao's eyes were fixed on the Jiangnan East Road. Fuyang County was a good place. It was surrounded by mountains. The mountains were not tall, but they were connected. There was not much water, but it was a good place to develop tourism. But at this time, this place was lacking a sliver of comfort and had an indescribable strangeness. It just so happened that it was at the edge of the forest fire. Today, it was blowing west wind, so the fire had not reached here yet. Zhang Xiaobao felt that this was normal. In theory, Fuyang County could not have so many north winds. It was a coastal area. If it was always blowing north winds, wouldn't it become the climate of Sichuan, Shaanxi, Mongolia, and the northeast? The big dice also had to be played with the highest probability. In the current season, if one were to play a hailstorm, the first to be dealt with would be the referees. What if it was Guizhou? Zhang Xiaobao was looking at this place because it was his logistics team. Logically speaking, a regiment of people should have arrived at this place. This regiment's weapons were slightly inferior, but they were definitely not arranged to provide logistics for the vanguard. Instead, they were arranged to be in this position as an infant. The logistics team's banner was that they were an independent regiment of the main force. They surpassed the number of normal regiments, reaching 2,000 people. Zhang Xiaobao was trying to guess whether Zhang Shogui's vanguard had placed its main force on the south or the faint force on the south. Logically speaking, the adventurous Zhang Shogui should have placed his forces on the north, where transporting artillery and supplies was more difficult. The adventurous and opportunistic Zhang Shogui had a high chance of catching the enemy off guard. But he was also worried that Zhang Shogui's subordinates would dissuade him. If he changed his mind, the regiment he had arranged would be easily wiped out. If Zhang Shogui couldn't do it, then there was no need for him to follow Wang Wan in the military selection. He would just go to Zhang Shougui's room, drag him out, and give him a beating. Damn it, with such good weapons and support equipment, your main vanguard can't even take care of a logistics team that uses cold weapons? To die, to live is to waste food. Zhang Xiaobao was now waiting. According to the 1:4 ratio, the other side should have sent someone over. The army was not on a tour. They clearly knew that there were many mountains here, so why didn't they hurry over to seize a good position? Zhang Xiaobao wanted to see if a messenger had suddenly placed a model of a firework signal on the sand table. If it was placed, it meant that his logistics team had encountered the main force of the enemy. Similarly, a firework signal would be used to send a message. Pass down my order. Have my people transport 5,000 dan of dry rations to Xinqiang County near Changjiang. Zhang Xiaobao gave the order to the messenger. The messenger left, but not long after, he returned. Young master, the judges are asking you, your 50,000 logistics team is busy. Where are you going to find people to transport the dry rations? My tribe is all dead. Take all the boys above the age of 10 from my tribe and send them to transport the rations. If they really don't allow me to transport them, ask the judges if the great Tang general's team needs to transport artillery and supplies from the mainland. My motherfucker country is about to fall, so why would I care who the logistics team is? Ask His Majesty, if the enemy attacks the periphery of the capital, who can hold weapons in the capital, will they pick up the weapons and fight for their lives or stay at home and wait for the enemy to rush in to rob and rape? Ask the judges to randomly grab 100 people outside the Furong Garden. If that's really the case, how will they choose? Go and ask. Zhang Xiaobao turned to look at the messenger and said. Li Longji stopped thinking at this time and raised his head. If that's really the case, I'll stand on the Vermilion Bird Avenue and fight with the people of Chang'an until the end. Your Majesty, you can't do that. If that's really the case, you can fly in a hot air balloon. When you fly to the north of Hebei province, you'll be safe. That's where Xiaobao and Cuckoo live, so the defense won't be bad. Gao Lisher quickly dissuaded him. Li Longji didn't insist at this moment because he himself couldn't think of what choice he would make when that time came. Would he follow the people in the city or go far away? Things hadn't happened yet, so he couldn't test his own humanity. Then, he asked Zhang Xiaobao, what will you and Cuckoo decide at that time? Fight first and run when we find that we can't win. If we don't have other places to reorganize the army, Cuckoo and I have to die for our country. If the north of Hebei province isn't occupied, Cuckoo and I will naturally take you with us. It's not that Cuckoo and I are cowards. We're not afraid of death, and we've never been afraid. When I'm needed to die, I can die for a child. When she's needed to die, she can die alone for a duty. But we definitely won't follow Xiang Yu's example. We'll leave because from our current position, our lives don't completely belong to us. When Zhang Xiaobao answered, he didn't look at Li Longji, but at Wang Wan. Wang Wan smiled sweetly and nodded. She agreed with Zhang Xiaobao's words because they had already done it once and had no regrets. Li Longji was speechless for a moment. He felt that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were very contradictory. Since they were going to run, why did they have to say that they weren't afraid of death? But he still nodded to the messenger, indicating that Zhang Xiaobao's words were correct. He told him to go find the adjudicators. When the adjudicators heard this, they took it seriously and really sent people outside to find 100 people in the capital. Wait a moment. When the person sent by the adjudicators arrived outside the hibiscus garden, he saw a person carrying a pole and making clay figurines. He reached out to stop him. The man looked at the person who stopped him in surprise, his face full of confusion. Hello, I'm one of the adjudicators in the hibiscus garden. Over there, we're giving Cuckoo an exam. I know. What's the matter? The clay figurine maker didn't wait for the other person to finish and interrupted. Oh, you know. The adjudicators smiled and suddenly asked seriously, let me ask you something. If the enemy is outside the capital, will you hide or go to the palace to get a gun and fight with them? The clay figurine maker's expression suddenly changed. Who's fighting? They're attacking the capital? Where are they from? Where are Cuckoo and Xiao Bao? You don't need to know where they're from. Cuckoo, Xiao Bao, and the Emperor are on the streets organizing people to fight against the enemy. What's your choice? The adjudicators asked. The clay figurine maker threw the pole aside. They're really fighting? Damn it, what's there to choose? Give me a gun. No, I don't know how to use that. Don't we have grenades in Tang? Give me a few and I'll rush out and fight with them. Don't be agitated. It's fake. I'm just asking. How can Xiao Bao and Cuckoo let the enemy attack the capital? You can sell it yourself. The adjudicators quickly explained. Fake? Then why are you asking me? Don't ask such a stupid question next time. The clay figurine seller angrily picked up the pole again and continued to walk around the hibiscus garden selling clay figurines. The adjudicators bowed. Yes, you're right. Take care. Another adjudicator found a woman who had just finished shopping on the streets. She was carrying a basket and laughing with several other women who were also carrying baskets. Sister-in-law, I'm from the imperial court. The enemy is outside the capital. Do you want to hide or take a weapon and fight with the enemy? When did this happen? How should I tell you? Oh, no, I have to go back and prepare leather armor for my man. They're already here? This woman's reaction was the most direct. She threw the basket away and ran away. Don't, wait a moment. The adjudicators pulled the woman back and said without hesitation, don't be anxious. It's nothing. It's just a hypothesis. In fact, no one is attacking. I'm just asking casually. The other women also stopped. They also had 2 baskets thrown on the ground. When they heard the self-proclaimed imperial court member's explanation, their breathing quickened. You scammer. I still have a pound of wine in my basket for my man. The jar must have been broken. You have to compensate me. A woman who had thrown away her basket grabbed the arm of the adjudicator and said with a glare. I still have 2 pounds of eggs in my basket. Tell me clearly. What are you from the imperial court? You dare to lie. Do you see Yan Zheng outside the palace? Another woman picked up her basket and lifted the cloth covering it. The eggs inside were all broken. The adjudicator was frightened. He bent his legs and said with a grin, compensate, won't that do? Don't pinch me. When we get home, my wife will ask who pinched me. How much? I'll pay. Only then did the women let him go. They took his money and turned to walk back to the market. They could faintly hear comments like idiot and idiot. Another member of the judging panel stopped a child who was about 12 or 13 years old. Wait a moment. I'm the one who helped Judge Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan in the hibiscus garden. I want to ask you something. The adjudicator tried his best to make his expression more amiable. The child's tears immediately flowed out. I'm not lying this time. I'm really sick. Last time, I wanted to go fishing, so I lied. When I got home, my father hit me. The school also said that if it happened again, they wouldn't want me anymore. I really don't dare. If you don't believe me, look at my hand. I still have cotton flowers. Here, look, do you see? There's a needle mark below. When I was changing my teeth, my face became swollen. The teacher gave me a leave of absence and asked me to go on an intravenous drip. I just finished and want to go back to school. The adjudicator blinked a few times and felt helpless. Why did he meet a child who once skipped school? No wonder there weren't many children on the street. They all went to school. It's okay. It's okay to skip school. I don't care. Why don't your school find a doctor? The adjudicator's mind was very active. He could think of many things. First, he was concerned about the school. Didn't you catch me and then not let me go to school? The child asked uncertainly. Seeing the adjudicator nod, he was relieved. Actually, the school can call a doctor, but I don't want to learn the Analects of Confucius. I want to learn how to build a boat, so I asked for leave. Isn't there a place that sells model boats? I said I came here to see a doctor. Anyway, I'm young, and I don't need to spend money to find a doctor anywhere. The teacher was very stupid, so he approved. He also told me some words in the Analects of Confucius. He said that there is no discrimination in education and that I should do things according to my conscience. He said that the world is big, and it's a mess. I don't understand. Anyway, I came out. The adjudicator took a deep breath, touched the child's head, and said, "Yes, you met a stupid teacher. In this case, you should learn how to build a boat well. It's a rare opportunity. Which school do you attend? What's the teacher's name?" The school affiliated to the Joy House. It's the Joy House opened by the Zhang family and the Wang family in Sanshui County. I thought they were very powerful, but they found a stupid teacher. His name is Cheng, and his name is Cheng. I heard that the Zhang family and the Wang family give him a lot of money every month. Is it not worth it? If I have a chance to meet brother Xiao Bao and sister Cuckoo, I'll tell them to change teachers. When the child said the teacher's name, he was very solemn, but after saying it, he became mischievous. Foolish, truly foolish. If he was teaching little young master Xiao Bao, little lady Wan Wan, or even little Bei, little Yuan, and the others, he would definitely not be scolded. Little young master and little lady would respect him very much. The adjudicator's face didn't look good. Obviously, he was angry. The child didn't fail to see it. He said, "There's something even more stupid." The teacher actually said that when the weather is warmer, he will ask people to dig a pool in the school for boats. He will let everyone learn how to build boats and see who can do it better. Doesn't he know that I like boats? If that's the case, isn't he providing a chance for me, a child who doesn't like to study, to play? Right? Yes, yes. The people of the Zhang family and the Wang family are really extraordinary. Even the teacher of the school affiliated to the Joy residents can do this. They are really famous. The referees looked at the child with a hint of disgust. Then, they let out a long sigh. All right, I admit that I'm not as broad-minded as your teacher. You're still a child. I shouldn't treat you like an adult and ask for things from you. Now, let me ask you something. If the enemy is outside the capital and is about to enter, will you continue to go to the clinic or help to deliver ammunition? The child didn't understand what the other side said at all. He only responded to the latter part of the sentence. They're coming to the capital? Then what's the point of looking at the illness? If they really come in, won't they bully me to death? How can the Tang Empire be insulted by others? Do they have boats? I'm very good at swimming. I'll jump into the canal and sink their boats. If they don't have boats, I'll bite a knife and hide along the river bank. If someone doesn't pay attention, I'll climb up and cut his neck. I'm very good at fighting. My classmates in the school all know that. Really, do you believe me? I believe you. I believe that you are a good child. But if you want to build a boat, you can't build it just by looking. You have to learn the skills. You have to know the balance of the boat and calculate the displacement. We can either not build a boat or build the best one. At least in the school, we can't let other people's boats surpass ours, right? When the pool is dug out and you lose, how shameful will it be? The referees thought about many things in an instant and said these words in the end. The child bowed his head and thought for a moment. Then he turned around and walked back. After walking a dozen steps, he turned back and said, "I'm going back to the school. There are teachers teaching other things. I have to learn well. When fighting, I have to rush to the front. Goodbye." The child waved his hand and ran away. The adjudicator also waved his hand with a smile on his face. Chapter 1002. Just like Zhang Xiaobao, Zhang Shogui had 2 additional models representing the pillars of smoke on the sand table. The only difference was that Zhang Xiaobao had not received any other information. He had received a message from the radio station, from the 1st Vanguard Brigade. It said that when they circled around the burning forest from the south, they found 2 smoke pillars rising from the mountains and determined that the enemy was using them to transmit signals. They sent people to investigate, but Fuyang was surrounded by rolling hills and thick fog, making it impossible to see with binoculars. Until now, they hadn't received any useful information. The commander of the 1st Brigade had the surname Yang, and his first name was Chang. When he saw the messenger placing the smoke pillars on his sand table, he deliberately asked why there were only smoke pillars and no traces of the enemy. "We have binoculars, so we should be able to find them." "The scout team has already advanced several dozen li," the messenger replied that the referees had found a way to hide the enemy based on their report. Furthermore, the fog was too thick, so they determined that they hadn't found the enemy. Zhang Shogui looked at the smoke pillars on the sand table and ordered the 1st Brigade to protect the ammunition and be careful of the enemy's sneak attack. Find out the number of troops the enemy is in. Zhang Xiaobao didn't have such speed of transmission. Not only did he not transmit the information, he also didn't allow him to steal the radio station and use it. He turned to Li Longji and asked, "Your Majesty, who do you think the enemy is?" "Is there a need to ask?" "Of course it's. You can guess what it is." "Of course, I know. I can go to the central sand table, so don't think of getting any information from me. Otherwise, I'll consider you breaking the rules." Li Longji was just about to say something when he suddenly realized that the information he received was different from Zhang Xiaobao's. He knew everyone's movements, so he glared at Zhang Xiaobao. Zhang Xiaobao pretended to be enlightened and said, "Oh, right, you're different from me. I forgot. I thought you didn't know either. Let's guess together. Since you haven't gone to the central sand table, guess, how do you think my logistics team will fight?" This time, Li Longji really didn't know. There were many people in the panel of judges, and they had to analyze and evaluate all sorts of information, as well as the tactics given by the commanders of the battalions and squadrons. Only then would they be able to give a rough estimate of the losses suffered by both sides. Li Longji was stumped for a moment, but he didn't want to admit that he couldn't do it. After thinking hard, he said with a firm expression and an uncertain tone, "Isn't that simple? They have guns and cannons, as well as all kinds of auxiliary weapons. If you want to fight with cold weapons, you can only run to the mountains. You can use bows and arrows to attack from a high vantage point, but your troop only has 2,500 people, while the enemy's troop has countless people. Let's not talk about the difference in numbers, but you're at a disadvantage in terms of weapons. I think the enemy will bring their cannons over and bombard the mountain where your regiment is at." Li Longji almost spilled the beans. He stretched out his hand and pointed at the model of a regiment on Zhang Xiaobao's sand table. The model had already been placed on one of the mountains on the sand table, so it was obvious that it was at a high vantage point. Zhang Xiaobao also smiled and didn't care at all. He then asked his godfather, "Godfather, how do you think my regiment will fight?" Gao Lisher was very nervous now. The battle was about to begin, and the first real clash between both sides had been waiting for so long. Who would win and who would lose? In his own situation, Xiaobao only had a logistics team in the Fuyang area, while the enemy had a brigade. It was 2,500 people against 5,000 people, and this was in a situation where there was a huge disparity in weapons. After thinking for a while, he said, "It won't be easy to fight, unless you want to burn down the mountain again. That way, you can hide first and then light up the fire. Perhaps you can take the enemy down with you before they know it. However, the enemy general isn't stupid. He's someone who has been learning from Cuckoo for 3 years. Since she put him in this position, it means that he's capable enough. Gao Lisher had also unknowingly let his mouth slip. When he said that he had been learning for 3 years, Zhang Xiaobao knew that the other party wasn't Zhang Shougui. Seeing that his godfather still wanted to say more, he hurriedly stopped him. "Godfather, you can't say any more. That's not fair. Let's just watch." Li Longji was vexed because he couldn't see anything. Zhang Xiaobao didn't have any advanced communication tools, so he couldn't reflect the real-time situation on the battlefield. After watching for a while, Li Longji got up and left the room. He walked towards the sand table in the center. When he got there, he was shocked. Just now, he had seen a model of an entire battalion on Zhang Xiaobao's sand table. Now, all that was left on the model was the flag of the regiment and the number of people in the battalion. The rest of the people had spread out. 2 battalions had run to the 2 mountains in front of the regiment headquarters, while less than a battalion of soldiers had hidden in an even higher mountain behind the regiment headquarters. Seeing this situation, Li Longji suddenly understood. So that's how it is. Because Xiao Bao's communication speed is slow, he doesn't know how the regiment is arranged. All he knows is that there's a symbol there. This is the previous arrangement. After muttering to himself, Li Longji was puzzled. Then why is Xiao Bao smiling? Could it be that he knows the current situation of the regiment? When the referees next to him heard the emperor's question, they explained, "According to our judgment, Zhang Xiaobao does know, because he was the one who came up with the idea. Wang Wan's troops are the same. They are using the tunnel tactic, and it's not the ordinary kind where they directly dig a tunnel. Instead, they are using a trench. Their people are staying in the trench. When the cannonballs fall, their casualties will be very small, and it will be more difficult for the bullets to hit them. If the 2 sides are fighting, when they are 100 steps away, their bows and arrows and throwing spears made of local trees won't be in a disadvantageous situation." Li Longji stood there and thought carefully for a while. He nodded and said, "If they are looking down from a higher ground, within 100 steps, they won't be in a disadvantageous position. Both sides can attack each other. The difference is that if the battle goes on for a long time, they won't be able to draw their bows, but the other side won't have a problem shooting. The difference between the bullet and the arrow is also different. How do you judge?" "In reply to your Majesty's question, we have done experiments, and it is indeed so. The bullet is more lethal, while the arrow is less lethal. Therefore, if the battle goes on for a long time, we judge that Zhang Xiaobao's side has fewer arrows, and it will be disadvantageous for them to snipe." The referees had already done experiments on this problem, so when Li Longji asked, he answered, "All right, let me see how they will fight." Li Longji didn't continue to ask about the rules this time. He sat on the chair that someone brought over and asked someone to bring him tea. He drank while watching. The people on the battlefield had different thoughts. Yang Cheng, the commander of the 1st Brigade at the vanguard, couldn't wait for the report from the scouts. He anxiously circled the sand table twice and gave an order. On the mountain where the smoke pillar was discovered, the artillery battalion, attack. Plow that small mountain for me. After the bombardment, my 1st regiment will go up and occupy the high ground. Zhang Xiaobao's regiment was hiding in the 1st battalion at the front, which was the mountain where the smoke pillar was lit. The commander's surname was Shi, and his name was Chun Jinxiang. Shi Chun also had a sand table in front of him. After lighting his cigarette, he arranged his own battalion according to what he had learned before. "Order all members of my battalion to enter the tunnel and prepare to endure the enemy's artillery fire. When the enemy is done, continue to hide. When we see the enemy's ground troops coming up and entering the range, then give them a good beating." The messenger immediately ran out to report. After a while, he ran back and said to Shi Chun, "Shi Jinxiang, Sir Shi, the enemy's artillery shells have already landed. The various traps that we have placed in front of us have been determined to be almost completely destroyed. Our scouts at the front have discovered that the enemy has about a regiment of soldiers following behind the artillery fire and quickly charging towards the mountain where we are." Shi Chun nodded. He looked at the sand table and shook his head helplessly. That idiot, actually using artillery to open a path. What's the rush? If it were me, I would wait and slowly grind them down. They have such a good weapon, but they still have to attack. The messenger pouted and muttered, they have such a good weapon, but they still don't attack. What do you know? Asked the referees, how did the enemy charge? Shi Chun gave another order. The referees determined that without prior request, the enemy's first regiment is running and charging. The bullets are already loaded and ready to attack the target that suddenly appears. The messenger ran back and forth and answered. Distance, Shi Chun asked again. The artillery fire has already passed. The first regiment is about 300 steps away from our front line and is still quickly approaching, the messenger replied. At this time, there was not only one messenger, but two. The situation on the battlefield was constantly changing, so the speed of information transmission had to be fast. Shi Chun nodded. Order, when the enemy is 30 steps away from the first line, throw out spears from the trenches. The second line, after 30 meters, use bows and arrows to attack the trenches. The third line, soldiers in the trenches, prepare to become the first line at any time. The fourth line to the trenches, continue to hide. Understood, all lines of defense have received the order. Report, our first and second trenches are engaged in battle. The referees determined that because the enemy's attack formation is too dense, the front line has suffered heavy losses. Report, the enemy has temporarily stopped attacking and laid down on the ground. They have begun to shoot at our first line of trenches and throw grenades. Our side has begun to suffer casualties. Order, the first line of troops quietly retreat from the tunnel beside the trenches. As they retreat, throw spears without aiming and meet up with the second line of troops. Shi Chun stood beside the sand table and gave the order. Soon, the enemy's regiment felt that the enemy's attack strength had weakened and gradually disappeared. If they had not just fought, they would have thought that there was no one on the battlefield. The regiment commander of this regiment was called Kong Lu. At this moment, he was standing in the room. He was not happy at all when the messenger came to say that the enemy's attack had disappeared. Instead, he was very angry. His regiment had more than 1,500 people. Along the way, they had been in front of the artillery fire while they were at the back. He thought that it would be easy for them to go up. Under normal circumstances, if you had already lit up the smoke column, how could you still stay on the mountain? You clearly knew that the difference in weapons was too great, so you should have used your fastest speed to retreat after sending the message. In the end, the artillery fire was pushed over first, and his side followed behind. Why did the referees determine that his side had lost more than 100 people in just one exchange? The explanation given was that the people in front of his side had been attacked by arrows and spears. How was that possible? In the end, he did not need to ask. The messenger said that the people in front had sent back information that the enemy's people were hiding in a hole that they had dug. At a distance of 30 steps, his side had been caught off guard. Kong Lu patted his chest. More than 100 people had been defeated just like that. The enemy probably did not suffer any heavy losses. The battle was too cowardly. His side had the most advanced weapons. Send a message to the brigade headquarters. Say that our regiment has been stubbornly attacked by the enemy. We can't determine the exact situation of the enemy, so temporarily stop the attack. In addition, the enemy has a deep hole to hide in. As for the artillery fire, the casualties are not heavy. We can also organize an attack on the spot. Over. This time, Kong Lu was obedient. Just now, he thought that he could easily occupy this hill and wait for the next order. Who knew that the enemy was completely different from what he had imagined? The commander of the 1st Brigade, Yang Cheng, quickly received Kong Lu's message. He was so angry that he slammed the small table beside him. Trash, cover the enemy with the artillery fire. You actually scared them in one exchange. What's there to be afraid of with more than 100 people dead? Charge, this is good. They have made the right choice. Order, the 1st Regiment to charge at all costs. Fire your guns and charge. I don't believe that they can stop our attack. Yang Cheng did not care about Kong Lu's report that they would temporarily retreat and discuss before attacking. He gave the order to continue the attack. Kong Lu received the order, thought about it, and learned to be smart. My regiment will attack in groups. His regiment immediately showed the formation of waves on the sand table. Report, the enemy is attacking in groups. They are charging towards our position again. The messenger reported to Shi Chun. Again? All right, I'll let them know today that in close quarters, long guns are not that useful other than pistols and submachine guns. Men, pass down my order. When the enemy's first group enters the trench, the second row of trenches will fire smoke arrows into the first row of trenches. Large saber squad, charge out from both sides with wet cloths on your faces. Enter the first row from both sides and kill them. Shi Chun appeared very confident at this time. He was confident that he could beat the enemy down again. The referee's decision was, Kong Lu's 1st Battalion's first group of more than 150 people kept firing as they jogged forward. They did not encounter any attacks even when they reached the trench. Then they looked down and saw that there was no one in the trench. They all jumped down, intending to use the trench as their own trench and then set up a defensive line. But as soon as they jumped down, they realized that there was a problem. The height was different. When they were watching the enemy fight, they were able to expose their upper bodies. But when they jumped down, why were they directly above their heads? When Li Longji heard the referees narrate the situation to him like a story, he was puzzled and asked, "What's going on?" Because Shi Chun's group was standing on a stool, they appeared to be very high. That's why the referees decided that after the enemy's group jumped in, they would not be able to climb back up immediately. The referees explained to Li Longji. That works too. What's the situation now? Li Longji's eyes widened. Who came up with this idea? As expected of the logistics team. Xiao Bao's sinister style could be found in this. Your Majesty, the current situation is that the enemy's second trench is firing smoke arrows into the first trench. The top of the first trench is already filled with smoke. The second attacking group has also jumped into the trench while the third group is still approaching. The two defending groups are wielding large sabers as they slash their way from the two sides of the first trench to the center. The referees took into consideration that the first group jumped into a trench that was too high and lacked morale. On the other hand, due to the smoke, their eyes and breathing were affected. In the end, the attacking group did not even use their bayonets, so they were not a match for the defending group at all. The referees decided that the ratio of casualties was 20-1. This was because the first group that came into contact with the first group was not all of the attacking group. Instead, the referees were more familiar with the terrain. The referees continued to explain the situation to Li Longji. Li Longji frowned and asked in disbelief, "The ratio of casualties is that high?" "Yes. One is due to familiarity with the terrain, one is due to psychological changes, one is due to the smoke, and one is due to weapons not being suitable for close combat. This is the ratio given by the referees." "All right, I understand. Continue." Li Longji fell silent and fell into deep thought. The two armies had just met, but the one with superior weapons was defeated by the other. If the great Tang's army could do this, how could they invade the other side? Oh, did they use military force to help the other side develop? Kong Lu was also angry. Attack, attack, this is great. Send out orders and report that the attack was blocked. Order, all troops to stop attacking and slowly retreat. Fire at the smoke and don't let the other side rush over. Open up a distance and ask the referees, how did my men fight? Why is there no specific information sent back? Reporting, Lord Kong, the referees said that because the troops at the front were unable to transmit any information, they did not send back any specific information. However, the third group heard the battle cries and the two groups at the front of our army should be engaging in close combat with the other side. The messenger gave this answer. Kong Lu said angrily, "What I want to know is, why can't my men transmit any information? Don't tell me they don't know how to escape. Can't they just run back? Are they stupid enough to use guns without bayonets to engage in close combat with the other side? Lord Kong, you have two choices. The first is to continue sending people to investigate. The second is for you to hand over command and go to the center of the sand table to investigate." The messenger said these words again. These words had become the most common thing they said in the past few days. "If I don't hand it over, fine. Send a message to the brigade headquarters. Tell them that our attack has been blocked. The two groups at the front are unsure whether they are dead or alive. The enemy's first trench is filled with smoke and they are unable to continue attacking. Tell them to retreat and rest." Kong Lu was also going all out. Even if the brigade headquarters ordered them to attack, they could not continue. These were his brothers. How could they just send in wave after wave? In the end, they did not even know how many people the other side had. You're tuning into the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.